From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView Podcast.
All right, and welcome to this month's episode of the DuView Podcast. I am your host, Du, a.k.a. Ryan Dumont, and joining me to my left is my good friend and just excellent all-around guy, black belt in sensei in the karate world, or in the martial arts world, rather, not karate, but Mr. Bobby Moran. Bobby?
Please stop buttering me up. You already got me on my couch. You already fed me this morning. We already know we're going to fuck later. Sorry, am I allowed to say the fuck word on this? It's in the first minute? Sorry, my bad.
You can say.
You don't have to butter me up, okay? Everyone knows who I am, obviously. So my first question is, I know you got a whole show you got to run, but I'm your guest, so shut the fuck up a minute. So my first question is, why didn't I hear that beautiful bastard's voice in the beginning? All I heard was the boom. I didn't hear that.
We just cut in early,
so,
you know. So what he's referring to is Jimmy Talalis, our buddy that does the intro, who does my voiceover work for the podcast.
Yeah. You got to change that soon. His voice is starting to annoy me. But
well, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest of episode 47, Mr. Bobby Moran. Bobby, you might honestly, just to kick it off, as you already kicked us off in such a way, you might be actually, the number one fan of the podcast, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And guest. I mean, I just wanted to start off by thanking you so much. I mean, you share every post, every time I have an episode. Everything like that. I mean, you are there for me.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. It's like, in terms of like helping somebody get started, you've actually been such a massive force in that. So it was about time for me to have you on the podcast. I know Bobby lives, I guess we'll just get this out of the way. Bobby lives down in Massachusetts, so it's not always the easiest to get you all the way up here to Maine. And just also kind of continuing my theme of this season on the podcast, having folks that also joined me in college. Bobby and I met at Saint A's, which is a good origin story and a good starting point, right, buddy?
Yeah, no, and speaking of the podcast, I love it. I have a local business, and I listen to every episode. Typically in the background while I'm having sex, but every episode, it's kind of nice background noise. Just kind of like the Daily Show, something to put in the background while you're jerking it. And,
oh my God!
And am I allowed to say these things on the podcast?
You can say these things.
Okay, this is not going to be shared. Unfortunately, this is the only episode I'm not going to share on my social media. I have integrity to hold. You might have to unlist this one, actually. Sorry, buddy. And do some cutting later.
Yeah, there's only so much editing you can do, and the podcast will only be a minute long. So,
yeah, well,
we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But and I mean, we hit it off early in college, really freshman year. I mean, we happened to have some friends that overlapped in terms of like the Passages trip. Did you go on the Passages trip? You didn't. No.
It was Lucas, Jake, Tim,
Chappie.
Tyler, Chap, all those folks.
Okay, and then you lived.
I lived
down the street from Timmy, or you lived in the same town.
Yeah. We grew up together. So I became friends with that group of people. One night, me and Lucas were at college, just hanging out in the quad. And then this kid comes up in the flannel. He's like, "I'm from fucking Maine." I'm like, "Are you from Maine?" And I'm like, "No, but this kid is." And I'm like, "Oh, Maine." And then Lucas is like, "Oh, Maine."
Yeah.
And then you guys headed off, and then you're like, "Hey, there's my friend over there. Let's go fuck with him." I'm like, "All right, man." And we had a pretty good time, being freshmen. You do what you do, and hit it off. And then you became very good friends with us and with me, and with Lucas. You ended up rooming with Lucas that year, and it's been great ever since.
And I mean, I remember
until now.
I remember like fondly from freshman year, like during finals week, watching Ip Man in your room,
Ip
and like,
Man.
yeah, dude. I mean, we'll talk. We'll get into the martial arts and the actually your travels over to the to Asia and such. But we'll get to that and unpack all that in just a minute.
Sure.
But continuing with the Saint A's stuff, I mean, you also, I was thinking about playing rugby, but you had some experience playing rugby in high school, and you were already a member of the Saint A's rugby team at the time, and so it was easy for you to convince me and, well, I guess our buddy Pete too to join at the time, and I had a great time with it. I mean, honestly, got the experience for a whole new sport that I had never really played before, and it was just it was awesome. I mean, like I said, in part because I got to spend more time with you, and we got to like hit people and have a good time. And we had some great teammates. I mean, questionable in terms of morality of being a good person, but in terms of actually like being good brothers, I guess, or dudes. Like, I mean, they were fun guys to hang out with.
Oh no, it was awesome. I mean, I played rugby since high school and in college. So I played 2 years high school, 4 years college, and we wanted more people for the team. And I thought you guys would love it. So yeah, I had you and Pete come on, and it was great. In high school, it was definitely a more serious experience. In college, it was a little bit more laid back, a lot more drinking, a lot more puking, a lot more partying.
It comes
puking not always from the alcohol,
right?
Other reasons as well. Playing rugby is a very tough sport.
It is. It's very physical.
Yeah, but no, it was awesome. I loved having you on the team. It was and everyone loved you. I remember the first time you went on and went to one of the rugby barrels. You're like, should I do something that's gonna make prove my worth? And you're like, fuck it, I'll sing Frank Sinatra. And everyone's like fucking loving it, dude. Franny's over there. Is like, this dude has a fucking beautiful voice, man. And I'm like, yeah.
I forgot about that. It's funny. They were like, Munster. Yeah, that was my nickname.
Yeah, Munster.
Like, so I had a sweatshirt from high school for the track team that said "Do Monster." That was one of my manyest nicknames. Actually, as I've said, like very few people actually call me Ryan, and especially like I'm also pushing that forward, calling myself Do, which doesn't help. But but it's a nomer. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's a known thing. As like unfortunately like Munster. There's like Munster cheese. And they ran with it because like I said, they were real original in that regard. And so we went from Do Monster to Munster. Like the cheese, and then they're like, Munster can sing, and I think you were probably
really
going around
appealing.
telling people I could sing too, knowing you.
Yeah,
you're probably hyping me up, and like it was like, all right, now you're put on the spot. It was just like it was funny how it worked because like it's either wow, these guys are gonna eat me alive and like make fun of me and like lambaste me for the rest of my time on the team, or they're gonna accept me, and they did, and it was awesome.
No, everyone loved you, man.
Yeah, no, it was. I was scared though. That was like that make or break moment. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's either you're gonna get beat up or loved or both,
or a little bit of both. It was
actually
a little
they're
bit
hand
of both.
in hand
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know it was. I mean, like we were hard on each other at practices too. I mean, like I feel like not that you should be hard on your teammates, but I mean, like at the same time, it's like you got to practice. But there's a fine line, right? Like between bludgeoning people and.
Well, it brings people together.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing with like even martial arts and like fighting and tough sports like this that people don't realize is even though it might be perceived from outsiders as violent, which it is, and and shit like that. Excuse me, cut that. When you're beating the shit out of each other like in practice and stuff, you do create like a bond because you're both sharing this experience. You're both taking yourselves to extreme limits and stuff like that. Like for example, even in karate or something, like if you're sparring with somebody, you're trying to basically like punch him and kick him and stuff. But after the match, you both feel great and you both feel like you shared like this great experience. Even if you see it in like UFC or like boxing matches after, a lot of times, unless people have big egos, they like hug after the match because it's such a personal experience. You're fighting someone or practicing and hitting with someone. It's something that can, funny enough, it really brings people together.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like
cool.
I can think back to like a lot of like the rugby, like especially in college, it's like okay, you just beat the shit out of each other on the field. Now look, go have some drinks together.
Yeah,
like have a barrel together or whatever. At least like the teams that were civil enough. There were a couple teams that we did not like civilly get along with. Like I think like what Plym State, Salem State, some one of those.
Probably
one of those two groups. But I mean like Keene State also.
I mean, and you need the beer too after because after all the injuries, you want to not think about it.
You need some liquid bandage.
But even something we did in high school, which I loved about my my high school team, is after every game, my coaches always would say is rugby is a gentleman's sport. Yeah. So like after every single game that we had a home game, we would order pizza. And we would take pizza over to the other team after the game if we won or lost. Mm-hmm. And we would have pizza and literally break bread with the other team and eat with them, talk to them. Actually, Drew, who went to Saint Anselm, that played
Drew
rugby
Longo?
with us, I literally played senior year a rugby match against him.
Oh, no shit.
And I literally was eating pizza with him, and I was like, he was like, "Oh, you're going to college, St. A's?" He's like, "Shit, I'm going there too." And it's like, and then I met up with him when we were going to rugby practice.
Your teammates.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Drew's a great guy.
Oh, he is a great guy. But like it's stuff like that I love, and that's why I think, you just because you're beating the crap at each other and like being competitive doesn't mean that you have to hate each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be polite after. That mentality I think is so important in sports and just in general when people have these competitive experiences, either it be argumentative or it be physical.
Well, it's like
or
also,
something like this.
I think what you're getting at is also like establishing like a good culture, like a good team culture, regardless if it's in rugby or in martial arts or wherever. It's establishing a good culture of like, I mean, not to like draw like I just reminded me like the first Karate Kid movie. Like, like you have two very different thoughts. Like you have like the more peaceful, like artful, like very like flowing side of the martial arts, and then you have like the violence, strike, like like the death, like strike murder, like exactly,
first, no mercy,
exactly. And I think that those are kind of the two schools of thoughts in the rugby world too. It's like either like you have these coaches, or if you have a coach at all, it's like, all right, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna tear some heads and rip some assholes, or B, we're gonna it's a gentleman's game and like bring pizza and like like I think there's a fine line in any world of sport like that.
That's that kind of movie. It has a really good lesson that I think is important for any time that there's a coach for anything.
Yes.
Where the important lesson is, I think Mr. Miyagi says, there's no such thing as a bad student, there's a bad teacher.
Yes.
And a lot of times, students or team members can be a reflection of the coach.
Yeah.
So, for example, I did wrestling in high school for 4 years. I loved wrestling, and there was some really shitty, very disrespectful teammates wouldn't shake. What you basically do is after a match, win or lose, it was respectful to go to the other team, shake their hand, and say thank you, and then go back and shake the hand. Shake the hand of your opponent.
Yep.
And the coaches during the match are like, what the fuck's going on? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. It's like,
as a lot of high school coaches do.
The kids wrestling had the same mentality.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's what's being drilled into them.
If you train your kids to act like rabid dogs, they're going to act like rabid dogs. Yeah. And if you train them to act like human beings, they're going to act like human
like they
beings.
Wouldn't shake your hand. They'd be like, you go to shake their hand, they'd smack your hand out of the way.
There's no
and
need
it's
for
like,
that. Yeah.
And then you look at the coach and it's like, that's where they're getting it from. I mean, it's with any type of influence. When you're
look at coach or you look at home, right?
Coach, teachers, parents, whenever these kids have these big influences in their life, and something that I think a lot of people might realize, but maybe not everybody, is a lot of times teachers and coaches and stuff, they have much more impact that you think on your kids than you.
They're always
do.
Watching, listening, or doing something. So it's interesting how you conduct yourself around. Yeah.
Like
seriously.
Like a coach like that, or like someone like that can really shape your upbringing. In a way, and that's why it's so important as like even like a parent, like when you're signing your kid up for a sport activity, anything like that you really look. Like, who's the person watching my kid?
Yeah,
because for like 2 hours, 5 days a week, this person's like
is in a way forming your child,
forming this kid.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they're doing a good job.
Yep.
Because if they're not, then your kid's gonna turn out to be a little asshole.
There's a good chance, right?
And,
that's why mentorship is so important. Like
it is.
Male, female, dog, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like however you identify or whomever you are, or whatever you are, like good mentorship, regardless if you're training a pet or trying to like raise a child. Like having good, solid mentorship is super important. Like I've had a handful of my mentors on the podcast or whatever, and like I am so blessed that they lucked out with two really good parents and some good family, and as well as some very good mentors like John Millett, who I had on the 3rd episode of the podcast. And I reference that, even though that episode is one of the shorter episodes, I do reference it a lot because it's interesting, like to get to the point in your life where you can talk about mentorship with your mentors. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever had any experiences like that at all. I mean, maybe with your dad or like whatever it is. It's interesting that you get to a point. It's like you talk about like style of like and how you do things in your life and things like that. You know what I mean? Like whether it be teaching or whatever it is. It doesn't just have to be one specific area. You know what I mean?
No,
like it's interesting now that we're like not children anymore. Like we're out of college. We're closer to 30 than we are 20, and it's different. It's just different. That's
old,
all.
Young man.
Yeah, right. And I don't keep trying to make it sound like that because I do that a lot. I feel on here, but at the same time, it's like it's cool to get to a point where you can, I guess, reflect.
Yeah,
and that with people who mean so much to you.
Yeah, and I mean, everything that you just said, I agree with, except, next time don't put female and dog in the same sentence. Be careful with that nowadays.
Oh my God.
But
I'm saying regardless of whatever you are.
But I was saying, no, you're right though. I mean, I've had mentorship and I've had that in my past. Yeah, from my father, he's because he's being both my teacher and my father, he's had a huge impact on me in that way. But even I think the if I'm thinking of like someone that's not my dad, that had the biggest impact on my life, it'd have to be my sophomore year wrestling coach, Charlie McKenna.
Yep.
He only coached for that year, but he was a big inspiration for me. And one thing that I always value, and I valued and still value, is dedication and toughness and never giving up and always picking yourself up every time you get knocked down. It's something I always value and something he valued.
Yep.
And he was a tough coach. He worked at something called the Citadel, which is like a place where like people from like the military will go to like work out and stuff. So I used to like train there and train people there. So he was a tough bastard, and he made it really tough on us. But I looked up to him, and he really inspired me to be tough, to really just like, just fucking go for it. And like every match I had, I was inspired. I was excited. The first time I started wrestling freshman year, I was very nervous. Like because with that, like when you're about to wrestle somebody, it's very nerve wracking. Yeah. But sophomore year, because of his inspiration, because of his coaching, because of his teaching, and because of his, the way that he presented himself, it was very inspiring, and I was just excited. And I don't know, he just was a huge influence on my life, and I think he really helped me find a sense of that kind of wanting a sense of dedication, to be dedicated to something, to always, to never give up, to always push through, and to always persevere. And I think
it's like
that's
the
something
unrelenting dedication to something.
Yeah, and that's impacted me, and because he's done that for me, now I do that for my students. So
that's how it's supposed to work. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, like is pass on their knowledge. Take the good, take the things that resonate with you, that helped you, and then give it off to your students. And not everything's gonna stick with every student, because everybody's different.
No. Yep.
But you're gonna find a lot more success with that, and passing on what you've learned that's helped you to other people, but at the same time also recognizing, for everybody's different. You gotta do it in a different way for some people, but it's good. It's good having a good mentor.
No, it is, and it's interesting, and that's why I value the wisdom of other people so much, whether they be older than me by a year, older than me by 20 years, or sometimes even younger than me. It's funny how you can find wisdom in different places. It doesn't always come with time. It does in some situations, but having some other perspective. I can tell you when I was teaching, I was working with a bunch of 12, 13-year-olds, however old middle school 7th graders are. Sure. But I can still say I learned things from my middle schoolers. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not not just staying up to date with pop culture, but you remind yourself of some of the innocence of some of these kids and stuff like that, under the sense that they haven't been out in the working world and stuff like that, and they still have a very honest level, and it's kind of cool to be reminded of that, just that. Yeah. And I'm sure
it's very easy to forget.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very easy to forget that when when we were kids and that time frame, what the mindset was like, and
time is a little bit longer and everything like that. Things don't fly by quite as quickly, and it's just different. It's just different.
No, it's cool. It's cool being able to teach, but also gain, and that's something that I love is when I teach my students, is being able to teach them and then see the influence it has on them, and then them doing something with that influence and making something positive out of it, and then that just feels so rewarding, and it's it really shows me that. And my favorite thing that I always tell my kids, my students, is that I want them not to become as good as me. I don't want them to become worse than me. I want them to become better than me. Yeah. I want every one of my students to not be as good as me. I want them to surpass me. Yeah. Both in skills and every or really in anything. And that should be the goal of, I think, most teachers. And the thing that I've noticed is that's happened is there's been points in training where it's this girl's got a higher round test kick than me. She's more flexible. She can get a better snap with it than me. Yep. Maybe when she's my age, she'll be better than me at it. She'll be stronger, and it's wow. And that's something I'm learning from them, is that these, because sometimes we look at kids and we're okay, you don't know what you're doing. you need help, you need direction, which to a point is
It's
true.
Yep.
But at the same time, kids are smarter than they let on,
Yes,
or
a
that you
lot
might
of them
think.
are. A lot of them are.
And they're, they're little
I'm not
individuals.
saying we're gonna go let them like run businesses.
No.
But like having some agency, like not letting them, like, I mean, giving them a little bit more agency over their own lives in certain aspects, like within reason. Like again, they're still a 13-year-old.
You need direction.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
You need direction. You let a kid do whatever they want. There will
be problems.
There'll be tons of problems.
Yep.
But
at the same time,
but I mean, I just think that like, but what I was trying to get at is they can, you can, they can kind of show you that they have much more
to offer than
something.
And backtracking a little bit, I guess, in this regard, buddy, you talk about your students, and so I guess I just wanted to kind of emphasis on this is that you may have gone to Saint Anselm College with me, but a lot like me, after graduating, you used your degree for a quick minute, and then like not stopped using it, but like you didn't major in martial arts at Saint, teaching martial arts or education or anything like that at Saint A's, and so you just kind of had another acquired skill really that you had learned through life, and that you were able to obviously use some of the stuff that probably you learned at Saint A's. I mean, you're not using none of it obviously, but like, but you didn't like go out and like you have a psychology degree. You have
it's true.
A BS in psychology.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Science, it's bullshit. I have a BA, so it's badass. I guess I don't know, but
okay, just step on me. That's cool.
But no, you have a BS in psychology, and you had a very but you put a lot of work. I guess what I'm trying to get at, buddy, is you put a lot of work in your study at the end and your thesis and everything like that, or whatever. I don't know. Did they call them thesis for your final project? Or
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think it was a thesis. It was like it was like a research project.
Yeah, but a major research, and you got to present to your peers and everything like that. I remember going and seeing your poster and everything like that.
I mean, it was great, and I mean, like as you say, you like use my degree. My original goal when going to college, was I had a couple goals. Yeah, one was to be a therapist. I wanted to, in some way, shape, or form, help people. Right. I didn't know what type of people. I think at one road or one time, I almost wanted to be a guidance counselor. I had a job offer from the middle school in Belmont. They wanted me to like intern there and get like a little job experience, and maybe one of the guys there that was my guidance counselor when I was middle school wanted me to maybe go that route. And I was thinking, okay, maybe, I always know I wanted to help people in some way, shape, or form. And, but after going through the, college course, I realized psychology is not really the route I wanted to go. Yep. I wanted to still help people, both mentally and physically. So my dad gave me the idea of partnering up with him, and what better way to do what I love and also help people can I do? I mean, I'm literally teaching, kids and adults to become better people through karate.
Right. And that's the unique thing about it, right? It's not just, you're not just teaching, like, and that's what I didn't want to like, I didn't want to gloss over this. You're not just teaching people martial arts, you're also teaching them better life skills too. And like because like, I mean, I feel like in part, like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like martial arts, for folks that are very dedicated to it, it is all encompassing. Like, it's not just like one aspect of your life. It affects like all different aspects of your life. Yeah.
No, it really does. And I mean, like a big thing that I tell people that it really helps with is you're going to get, you're going to get basic self-defense skills. You're going to get stronger from it. But the really thing that helps a lot with upbringing is it helps a lot of kids, build confidence in themselves. Yep. Something that a lot of people, maybe, that or maybe yourself, I know myself, grow up with self-esteem issues, and having that kind of outlet and having something like that to help build up your confidence is super important, for anybody. And another thing it helps with discipline. It helps kids learn structure. It helps them with their focus. It helps them concentrate. It helps them learn how to never give up, no matter how hard things get. And going back to my old coach Charlie McKenna, right? Assuming we didn't lose that part of the footage, Charlie McKenna is he really helped me, teach me to be dedicated and never give up, and always pick myself up when I get pushed down. And I always tell my students whenever they're doing a really hard exercise, like I'm hard on them. I know I am, and I know it's tough on them, and I know they don't always love the exercises.
Within good
but
reason,
I tell them if it's easy, you leave it to somebody else. The
Yep.
hard stuff's for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
You know, if you want to do easy stuff all day long, then go do that. You can be comfortable and not, but you're not going to really grow a lot from that. You need to go through hardships, both physically and sometimes even mentally, to have breakthroughs and to grow and to learn and become stronger, with yourself.
Definitely.
And that's why I like karate, because it's unlike other sports where I love other sports too. And don't get me wrong,
Right.
I love rugby, I love wrestling, I love all these things.
Yep.
But with karate, something that I find that's really beneficial from it is that you're not competing so much against other people, where you can do that. It's part of it, but it's really more so about competing against yourself and trying to be better than yourself than you were yesterday.
Yep.
Trying to challenge yourself and become that better person. And that's why I fell in love with it, because it's it's something that it helps you find yourself. It helps you really understand yourself more, and it can give you a really good sense of purpose. Sorry.
Right on. Yeah, no, you're good. No, that's interesting, and I guess just to explain, I mean, I know you said karate. What is your specific? I mean, I know there are a lot of different martial arts,
Sure,
fighting styles and forms and disciplines out there, and that's why I kind of not put my foot in my mouth, not get ahead of myself. But I know you do some form of karate, but I want you to explain it.
Sure.
So like, what's your fighting style, and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Like that type of
No
stuff.
problem.
A little bit of background.
So if you think of martial arts as a whole,
Yep.
it starts like this. There's martial arts up here. It's a branch term.
Yep.
Under martial arts, it can be different styles.
Right.
Taekwondo, Korean martial art,
Yep.
karate, Okinawan Japanese martial art. There's jiu-jitsu,
Yep.
Japanese. But then there's underneath jiu-jitsu,
Brazilian
there's
jiu-jitsu.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu has there's hundreds of different styles.
subsets.
The
Yeah.
most popular one is BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But yeah,
Yep.
there's a ton under there. Same with karate. There's
Yep.
different types of karate. There's Shurenryu, Oichiru, Gojuru. There's Shotokan. Not Aikido. Aikido is a different style. Other ones.
There are a lot. Case in point.
Shitoru, Kyoko Shinkai. There's a lot, and they have sometimes different backgrounds. For example, Shotokan is originally Japanese style of karate, founded by this man called Gishin Funakoshi, an Okinawan man, traveled to Japan, lived there, and created a Japanese style of karate that's probably the second most, if not most popular style of karate there today. But then there's Shurenryu, Uechiru, Gojuru, which are Okinawan styles of karate, where Okinawa is where karate was founded.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okinawa is a small island, as you might know,
Off
the coast. Yeah,
in the Pacific.
Yeah,
but not too far from the Japanese mainland.
No, it's now occupied by Japan and stuff like that. It's part of the Ryukyu Islands, but they were their own indigenous
and that's
people.
That's where karate came from.
Karate came from Okinawa.
No shit. Huh.
Yeah,
I definitely learned something today.
Yeah,
That's
that's where it comes from. It comes from that small island,
Huh.
and it wasn't until I'm not the biggest karate history
right.
expert,
I mean, you know more than most people,
but
though, buddy.
it wasn't until I think either the late 1800s or early 1900s, I want to say, that that karate started spreading to Japan. And then it became really popular over there. And there's many differences between Japanese and Okinawan karate.
Yep.
But what I mainly do, going back to the original question, is I do more of an Okinawan style of karate.
Yep.
It's Shurenryu, but mixed with another style called Kempo, which is American Kempo, so kind of an American offshoot of karate. And that's what my dad learned growing up. He learned Kempo, but he also learned Shurenryu, so he has kind of both that influence. And
I'm sure you get a different fighting style when you have the blend of the two.
Sure. Yeah.
You combine aspects of both.
And we say those two because those are the main ones we use, but really it's just my dad just kind of mixed all the martial arts he did and just kind of put the best stuff that he liked in it. Almost
take
kind
the
of
best from
honestly
each
kind of
and,
a form of MMA, just different.
Yeah.
Whereas modern MMA, which I love and I think is great.
Yeah.
It's mainly a mixture of Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, American kickboxing, stuff like that.
Yep.
Whereas my dad's style is a mix of karate Kempo, karate Shurenryu with some kickboxing because he did kickboxing a ton when he was a kid.
Yep.
He was
it was
a big
very
kickboxer.
popular when your dad was coming up.
Yeah. He did kickboxing. He did a little bit of BJJ.
Yep.
Some other style. He did this other style called Savat, which is a very weird style. It's like French foot fighting.
Oh no!
Very obscure.
Yep.
And he kind of mixed that stuff together and created, more or less his own type of system, which I know, a lot of people nowadays do. But I find it effective. I find it very very neat. And I love it,
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of
I mean that is fascinating though. rooted in like the original traditions of Okinawan, karate,
Sure.
but also taking your dad's own modern approach to it, which is cool. And I mean, like, that's frankly though, like, that's how you survive and you adapt and like become different. You're not just like, you're not just every other like straight laced karate school. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, or like, it's like very like rigid. You know what I'm saying? Or like what you see in like a movie or something. You know what I'm getting at? Like,
yeah, and the thing is that's unfortunate about the martial arts world now and the karate world now is there's a lot of kind of asshats out there, you know, that like teach and peddle a lot of bullshit.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because it gives karate a bad name because with something like karate, because it was so popular when Karate Kid came out in the 80s and stuff, and I think karate in America became really popular, started becoming popular in the 60s, started becoming a thing in the 60s, but when karate
Bruce
came
Lee,
out,
I think you can thank Bruce Lee for a good chunk of that.
yeah, he brought some martial arts over, and people were really interested in martial arts in that way, but because he did actually a Jeet Kune Do and like I think Wing Chun Kung Fu and stuff like that.
I just think about like,
right.
You think about like American popular media in like the 60s and 70s.
Bruce Lee was a
like
huge
Bruce Lee
part
was
of it.
Huge. Like,
yeah, but
anyway, regardless.
But yeah, you're right, and but yeah, in like the 80s, like Karate Kid came out, it became so popular, and so many people in America wanted to open up karate schools. But it's coming. A lot of them are just opening it up and not knowing everything, and I don't know everything. And neither does my father. I make mistakes. I still do. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And and my father is too. We always tell our students like we're still learning too. We're still growing.
Never stop.
We never stop learning.
You never stop learning,
and we make mistakes. We're not perfect. Sometimes kids they love to put you up on a pedestal.
We do
because they idolize. And it's like no, we're not. We're human. We're and stuff like that. But yeah, nowadays there's just so much of that in the karate world, and I think it's given it a bad name, a bad rep. I think there's great merit from karate, and I think that there's a lot of benefits, and you can get a lot out of it. You can get a lot of self-defense out of it.
The baseline benefits. Obviously, there's the very obvious self-defense aspect. We talked about the discipline for kids, but I guess like as speaking because I will say the majority of the listening base is adult base. I guess what you do say you do teach some adult students. I guess
we do.
What are some of the biggest benefits for like adults? I mean, obviously you can still have better discipline as an adult. I feel like it's easier to teach somebody discipline at a younger age. Obviously,
yeah.
But like I guess like how I guess do you see any different? I mean, and I know I've talked with your dad a little bit about like the benefits of just doing like martial arts or just finding, oddly enough, even though you're fighting, finding inner peace. And, like that type of stuff, and like staying limber and like almost having like a yoga aspect to it, because you have to stay pliable, like in some aspects, for moving your body as you do.
Yep. I think I said yeah like 20 freaking times. I need to stop that. So cut that. No, just kidding. Don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Don't want Ryan beating my ass. But what I was gonna say is I lost my train of thought. Can you say the question again?
Yeah, no, it was just like what are the biggest benefits for like your adult students?
That's right.
We're talking about like like I said, like discipline is something easier taught for a younger person. When you're in your more growing stages as compared to somebody who's 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, no, with like adult students and stuff, like we don't like discipline them. I feel as though that'd be like kind of like a little disrespectful. Like obviously, like if there's some like guy coming in, he's like being like a douchebag, you're gonna tell him like, dude, fuck off.
Straighten up. This is
a
dojo,
like if he's going in, he's like trying to like I don't know, be disrespectful or something, might say something, but that doesn't usually happen. The most I might do is like if a guy like people in America don't understand like if you to walk on mats, you don't want to walk on with your shoes. That's disrespectful. So there's might etiquette, be someone coming in. So you might just teach them etiquette, like, oh, please bow before you step on the mat. Please take off your shoes. Don't, just stuff like that. But the main thing for adults, I think they get out of it is one, I think they still get the confidence.
Yep.
Knowing that you have some sort of idea of what to do in a self-defense situation is very comforting because you don't want to be just kind of stuck not knowing what to do.
You don't want to be like that guy in like the TV show that's walking down the street. You're about to get like robbed or something, and then like they take your wife, they take your money. It's like oh man, like
thank God,
peace and quiet finally. No, but you know what I'm saying, Bobby. Like that stereotypical like oh no, I'm not prepared for, life situations, for example, like,
Yeah, no, it's like I like to say it's like swimming.
Yeah,
like so you
right.
parents like teach their kids to swim because they're scared of that unfortunate situation where they're gonna be stuck in water and drown.
Yep.
So you want to learn you want to teach them how to swim. I don't know why that's fucking funny, Ryan.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding.
I work as a lifeguard.
I'm busting your balls.
There's got to be some humor there.
But with karate. Or not karate, martial arts in general, self-defense in general. It's the same thing. You don't want your kid or yourself being in that unfortunate situation. You hope it never happens. But like when someone's trying to attack you, you don't want to just not know what to do. Then you get hurt. You want to have some sense to do. You want to know how to swim. You want to not look like an asshole. You want to know what to do. So you know,
of course.
And I think that's good for adults too.
It is.
And having that sense of confidence. Like we have a student. His name's Jeff, and he's been with us for I think like 8 years now, 9 years.
Yep.
And he's been, he said like when he used to walk down like in Boston, he used to be terrified because he's a very scrawny dude.
Yeah.
He's bulkier now because he's been training. But he's a stronger dude, and now he says when he walks down the street, he feels a lot less intimidated. He feels a lot more confident in himself. He feels like he'd know what to do if anything ever happened.
That's fair.
And I think that's good, to train them that way. And then also other benefits is you also get like the physical aspect. Like I still make the adult students like, do physical exercises. So getting in shape.
Yep.
I think that's another thing that I think also karate gets a bad rep is a lot of, at least in America, I guess I can't speak so much on other countries except for Japan because I've been there and trained there.
Right.
Which we'll get to later.
Yes, we will.
And is that there's not as much of an emphasis, at least for adults, on the physical aspect. Like you'll see a lot in like boxing, kickboxing, MMA. Physical aspect's huge.
Yep.
Like they do a lot of cardio, a lot of exercises, getting in shape because you want that endurance. You want to be in shape. You want to be strong, and I think that's extremely important. And I don't know why people are neglecting that in the karate world in America. I think that's just wrong. I think you need to be, even adults, I teach them this, you need to be eating right, you need to be sleeping right, you need to find balance in your life, you need to be physically fit.
Yep.
You need to be active,
It's not just like showing up and being a good karate student. It's being a good, well-rounded. And I guess that's kind of what you're getting at is that like karate, and especially for the adults, also for the kids as well, it like reinforces having some good type of like well-rounded balance.
Lifestyle habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It's promoting a good lifestyle. And I mean, like I've talked with you about it before. I was just like, like if I had the time to like start dedicating this, I'd love to come take a class or do something just to like understand. You know what I mean? Because I'm like big on like gaining other perspectives on stuff like that, and like I can only understand it so far as to of not actually doing it myself. You know what I mean? Like to understand that, and I think it's really unique, and that's why I love talking with you and especially your dad about this stuff because it's just a world I do not know, and I'm not even going to pretend like I understand it either.
Yeah, and I mean I think a big thing with it, karate in general, even since like I've read a lot of literature in karate, and a lot of the original like Okinawan teachers or practitioners or karateka you'd call them, karate practitioner, karateka. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but that's the word for it.
Yep.
They would have they would always talk in their books about their routine.
Yeah.
Like Gishin Funakoshi, who I mentioned before, who invented Shotokan. He was he was from Okinawa, and he said every morning he would wake up, wash his face, brush his teeth, practice his karate, make his bed every single morning.
In that order.
And even though it's something so simple, it's so simple. Having that routine in your life helps you find balance.
Yep.
And can help you through your day, help you through your week, help you through your month, help you through your year, help you through your entire life. And that's something I teach the kids. Is when I take that lesson from Gishin Funakoshi in every class. Yep. I ask the kids after we do like stretching and meditation and stuff. I say, okay, raise your hand if you brushed your teeth this morning. And 95% of the kids will brush their teeth, or raise their hand. Then I'll go like, okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand. Who made their bed this morning? Same thing. Hands down. Okay, raise your hand. Who practiced their kata, their karate forms, at home this week? Hands down. Who was kind and respectful to their parents? Who was listening to their teachers this week? Who's been doing their homework? Who's been, washing their face every morning? And small things like this that you don't think are important. They are. Yeah. Because if you build a routine for a kid, for an adult, or for anything like that, I find you can get a lot more balance out of your lifestyle. and you can be having a lot more productive, and a lot happier of a life. And because you're balancing your life out, and you're coming home to a clean bed.
Yeah.
You're waking up and you're starting with something active. You're starting with kata. You're karate.
Yep.
You're living a clean, lifestyle and stuff like that. And you're doing it every day and making sure you're doing that, and it gets built in your routine. It's just, it's just a lot healthier for you.
Yeah,
I think it's mentally and physically.
See, and I guess that creates an interesting parallel for me, because like doing what I do for work now, I work a pretty physical job, working in the trades, and it's like I'm getting to a point where I start to feel some of the, I'm not going to say the pains of working in the trades, but like some of just like, oh wow, I can't bend over like I used to, and like or like reach down or grab something or like whatever it is, and just like my mobility isn't quite there as I've also gotten older. So it's like, wow, I need to start doing changing my routine around, and like adapting things to change, better suit my lifestyle, in that regard too. And I mean, I think that's a very healthy way to look at it, though, is having that good small, like you do a bunch of small things and it makes a bunch of huge impacts.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at too. It's like I will be a much better, productive, healthier, whatever. Like if I make a couple changes, in terms of my like daily routine, perhaps.
A bunch of small things can make a very big impact.
That's very cool. I think that's definitely a good skill set, or a good mentality to get your students in. And I guess that said, though. Not only are you teaching, the karate side of things, but you're also lack of a better term, a small business owner.
I am.
And you are a small business owner.
That's true.
And how has that experience played out for you? I know, like, obviously I'm sure, like as we've talked about, just like, oh, like that's a hard phone call to make or whatever. It's just like doing some of the more like business side of things. Like I'm sure it creates a different duality. Like I just want to go. It's like kind of like with me. I just want to go out and into the field and wire stuff. I don't want to do paperwork. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Do you have moments like that?
Yeah. No, it's like, I mean, I didn't go to school for business.
Right. No,
I went to school for psychology. I didn't ever think I was going. I didn't think I was going to business. I mean, how the story goes is I graduated college. Dad didn't really do anything with the karate school. He was doing SEO work and inventions. He was doing karate school on the side, but really he was like, you want to partner up with me and build this up? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And I took the bulk of it. I love my dad to death. He's not a businessman. He loves karate, and he's very generous, and and I think that's what he loved, but he never had that business mentality. And
it's a different type of drive too.
It is.
It's like in how you like. I can just tell, like, since just looking at the two things at face value, from like your presence on social media and like all the different things that go into being like a successful small business, like you've done, and I think you've done a great job. Like I'm not just trying to butter you up. By
you are, but that's cool.
I am, and I will. But like, I'll start melting that butter and just
you'll get a treat later.
Oh boy, look out! But no, like you have like, and I know we've talked about like doing things on social media and stuff like that, and I think that's really like unique for you, to take something that he started and run with it, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, when he had it for the past 10 years, before he was just doing private lessons.
Yep.
Adults, had 8 dedicated students, but didn't want to give it up because he just loved it. But wasn't making any money on it. He was breaking even. He didn't even want to advertise it. He had black curtains on the window. No one even knew it was karate school. It was pretty much hidden. Yeah, there was barely, the sign was hidden, all that shit. So I came, I opened up the group classes, I opened it up. I knew exactly what we needed to do to make it run.
Yep.
I have some buddies in South Carolina that my dad's really good friends with that owns trains of karate schools down there. So I talk to them all the time, pick their brain. They helped me a lot.
Nice.
And I built it up, and and now we're a great running karate school. We got a lot of success. We're still a small business, of course. We're not a chain. I don't know if I ever want to be a chain, to be honest. It just seems like
that bridge when you get there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll open up another school someday, but I don't have much of a desire to.
Yeah. Yep.
I like keeping it small, and as long as I can as long as I can feed my family, have a little bit of disposable income and live a happy, comfortable life. That's all I want.
Yep.
I mean, to be honest, my goal is to have a nice ranch style home, live a quiet life, fish, and teach karate. That's all I want.
That's a good life, dude.
So as long as I can get that, I'm good. I don't need fancy sport cars or anything like that. Just let me play video games,
simple,
fish,
comfortable life. Yeah.
Live with my wife, dog, kids, and teach karate. I'll be a happy motherfucker. But
you sound like me. If I can have my 40 acres and a mule and Maybe a bus to park on it. I'll be happy.
A
right?
bus. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't even need a house.
Damn, dude, you're more humble than me.
Oh, very much so. I don't need much.
Yeah.
I need like my vinyl record collection, like access to maybe like the internet solely for like streaming music purposes, and like if I don't have it in physical like format, but like. No, but seriously, I mean, like, that's really cool, dude. And I mean, like, it's been allowed you to do different and more unique things in a lot of ways. And like I said, when you told me you were gonna go teach karate, or you were teaching karate, I was like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect it, but after you explained it and you laid everything out, I was like, this is gonna be awesome, and I wish you the best.
That was my biggest driving factor. And I don't blame people for this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, including like just like some family members and stuff and friends, and I again don't blame people for this. I think they're expected, but I think there was like a lot of doubt, like what fucking money are you gonna make from a small karate school? And it's like, well,
you'd be surprised.
That was my driving factor. I was like pissed. I was like, okay, these people, they might or might not be doubting me. I don't care. I'm gonna prove people wrong. And you know what? That was driving factor. Sometimes pettiness is a driving factor.
Sometimes, like,
and
I'm
gonna be honest,
Richard
it was part of it.
Dude.
It was pettiness, but also that was a little bit of it.
Yeah, no, of course.
A big part of it, is just also wanting to make what I love to do work.
Yeah,
because I don't want to be the guy that works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Work until the weekend. Hating my life, working 40 years, and then going to retirement and being like,
at least
now
I got a gold watch.
now I can enjoy life. I was like, dude,
as I'm 60 years old.
It's like I don't want to be that miserable guy. Not saying that everyone hates their 9 to 5s. I don't want to diss the 9 to 5ers on here.
Yeah.
You dirty bastards. But
but
I'm kidding. But like that just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that. And I know of people that hate their jobs, and it's like a lot of older people, really, a lot of adults.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you want, your 40 hours of your life you're going to make miserable for yourself? Why don't you do something you like, get paid a little bit less? And I know it's easier said than done. I know it's easier said than done. But it's like in our culture and society. But it's like, dude, like you don't want your life to be that miserable all the time. You want to do something you love. And that's why I was like, I need to make this work, because I know if I don't make this work, then I'm not doing my dream job.
No, and that's like, and that's been,
I'm not doing what I need to be doing.
And that's funny you can like say that, because like, like as I've talked about on here, like I talk about like once you thought you found your dream job and your dream job turned out to not be your dream job, but like to find something that is actually what you want to do at a younger age is actually quite impressive, really. I mean, like, and I'm happy for you. Like,
thank you.
And I wasn't trying to come from a place of doubt or anything like that. I mean, I know anything that you're gonna run with, you're gonna run with it until you can't run with it no more. But
I don't blame anybody.
But that
for
said,
doubt.
I was just surprised.
Yeah.
Given, I mean,
I
like,
was too.
I'm sure it was a shock when I said, "Hey guys, I'm an electrician now." Probably you guys were like, "What the fuck?"
I think I was more shocked when you were teaching.
Yeah, that too. I mean, like, I've done a lot of different shit, It's just like, what the fuck is he doing? It's like, don't worry about it.
But it's cool.
Fun. It is. And like
Run
I said,
with what you like.
Exactly. And that's like the cool part about it. And so I guess if more like Bobby is located down in the Belmont, Massachusetts area, if folks are looking for like, and I have folks that obviously listen in the Massachusetts area, if they're looking to find the karate school, where do they look for you?
We're on Trapella Road, 396 Trapella Road, Belmont, Bushido Martial Arts Academy.
Yep.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, of course. And
it's not free. I'll be compensating him later.
And then electronically, where can people find you guys?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Bushido Martial Arts Academy. You can look at our website, martialartsbelmont.com, if you're ever interested.
Nice.
I recommend, we don't do Zoom anymore, so like I wouldn't do like if you're too far away.
Yeah.
If you're in the Boston area, give us a look. Give us a
give them a ring.
Give us a call, and we'd be happy to take care of you.
Yep.
I think
Excellent.
That's
like I said. We're I mean, like I say, I'm from the heart of Maine, but we really do reach across the entirety of New England with the podcast, which is great. And like I said, love to be Maine centric, but also New England centric, kind of at the same time. And I mean, to be able to come on and help, like whatever little publicity I do give you guys, anything I can do to help you, help out my friends,
Dude, that's awesome. Anything is great. Yeah.
But that said, you talked about Okinawa, you talked about Japan a little bit.
Sure.
And luckily you had the opportunity to actually travel overseas just a month ago? All of a month ago?
Yeah,
Bobby was in Japan.
July 5th to the 16th, something like that. I was there for 11 days.
And so I guess who'd you go with? And
went with my beautiful and loving wife, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, because
Elizabeth.
Yep. And my good friend John Borelli.
Yep. Shout out to John.
Tim Syracusa.
And Timmy. Yep.
Yeah. And then actually we met up with my buddy Oliver that lives over there.
That's right. I think I have met him before.
He went to Saint A's a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
that's cool.
Yeah, we were there for 11 days. It was awesome. We went to Tokyo, and then me and Elizabeth individually went to Kyoto.
Nice. And was there a reason for adding Kyoto onto the trip, not just doing the standard run with everybody else?
I just wanted to explore. So like Kyoto is pretty modern too.
Is it?
But Tokyo is very modernized. There's a lot of parts that you can find that are like more traditional, but I want to get a little mix of like modern Japan and the more traditional things in Japan, where Kyoto you can find a lot more of that.
Like you're talking like the older architecture and stuff like that. Like getting away from like the robots and the neon screens. Like like kind of like your I don't know, like your cyberpunk type shit.
Yeah.
Getting away from that and more into your feudal Japan.
There's a lot more influence in like Kyoto of like older Japan,
like the classic Japan, almost stereotypical Japan in certain.
There's parts of it. There's parts obviously it's very modernized.
Yes.
There's parts of it that like Kyoto is actually very muted. It's a very muted style city, but when you get to the traditional parts, it's very like there's like a lot of like that old like kind of like wood like feeling, like a lot of wood housing. Like for example, we went to a Starbucks. But because Starbucks had to abide by like the architecture, it was like, it literally looked like an old Kyoto building that was like wooden, and you go inside, it was all natural lighting like through the windows. So there was like no lights. It was like very dim. And then upstairs, like they had like a little like seating area where you have to take off your shoes and you drink your coffee and stuff. It was so cool. But yeah, it was cool to get the mix of the two. And I do want to go again because there's more traditional parts than Kyoto. Like they're more rural and down in the southern parts of Japan. But I'd love to go back. But
that's very cool. That's very cool indeed. And what else did you guys do when you were there? Obviously, you go to do some of the tourism type things. But like, what were some of your like daily activities? Not that you have to run me through every day when you're on the trip. But like, But like, so what were some of your high points of activities that you guys did?
I think just in Tokyo, exploring the city and the subway system was awesome. Like subways over there are like not like here.
Yep. Not like
New York and the T. They're clean. There's not like a homeless dude screaming at you, puking on the train and pissing everywhere. It's very clean, and like there's like everyone's very respectful and quiet.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of social rules in Japan. So like on a train, you can't like talk on the phone.
You're not like you don't have like homeboy over there blasting his boombox on the train. You're like, here, like I'm about to release my new rap CD. Take a listen. Like
it's very quiet. It's very modest. Like it's very modest culture over there.
Yes.
And one thing I liked is, like you can't be talking on the phone. Like even that's something like simple as talking on the phone. Like talking to other people, you have to be like kind of considering quiet.
Like whispering.
You can't even to the point where it's actually socially unacceptable to in public, especially on trains, blow your nose. If you have like a runny nose, you have to like sniff. You don't blow your like they're very clean and they have a lot of social rules on just like respect. Like you don't want to be obnoxious and like annoy other people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're very introverted over there, and I just love the train system. And that's what we do. We take the trains to like all different parts of the city. Like Shibuya was my favorite. It was kind of like the kind of probably the biggest or bigger part of Tokyo, kind of maybe the main part I would say. And it's just beautiful, just walking around. We'd go to shops, we eat a lot of food, a lot of ramen, a lot of sushi. We went to a lot of the sites. We went to temples and shrines that were really cool.
Very cool.
And it was awesome. We did things like we scheduled food tours and stuff. And one thing I learned over there, because it was like during the day it was that type of stuff, and during the day everyone in Japan's like very quiet, modest, stuff like that. They're very introverted people, but in Japan they love drinking. Yeah. They absolutely love it. And so what they'll do is at night, they're all like hammered. Like during the week too. Like salarymen are coming after work. They're having like they go kanpai. That's how they say cheers. And they'll be drinking like sake and beer and stuff. And just like drinking like they love sours over there actually. And drinking is a huge part of their culture because they don't have any other drugs that are legal. You know,
you mean they don't have like cannabis and everything else running
nope,
around over
nope,
there?
very illegal. There's actually ads on the train saying don't smoke weed or we'll fucking find you.
Yeah, we'll find you.
It was like
we will lock you in jail.
Yeah, no, honestly, and you know, it's again like some bittersweet
So it's like
stuff.
going to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Except you know,
it's not Texas.
Yeah, except it's not Texas. Except everyone's
weed laws.
everyone's Japanese.
Yeah, right.
But
well, it's actually funny. I'll just when we were
don't cut
when I
me
was
off.
when
No,
I
I'm
was
just
writing, you know how like you're talking about Japan and like your phone they analyze your algorithms and your cookies and all that. Well, I ended up getting this King of the Hill clip from when they go to Japan and one of the episodes.
do they really?
Yeah, and it was like, do not tell me. He's like, oh, our hotel room was a little cramped. And he goes, don't tell me you were sitting in the sitting room the whole time.
I saw
and he
that.
like pushes back the doors, and there's like a whole hotel room, like you were said, natural lighting. And I'm given this is an animated, like stupid American like cartoon, adult cartoon, but it was just like that's all I could think about. I was like, I hope they didn't have any experiences. Not you, and like you would, but like I could see like John or Timmy being put into one of those situations.
Yeah.
Like, oh, our room was a little cramped. Oh, I hope you didn't stay in the sitting room the whole time.
I mean, you can find bigger hotel rooms. What
Yeah.
we did is we got a hotel room because we wanted to spend a little less money on the hotel because it was just a place to sleep. We were
Right,
out most of the
exactly.
day.
Right.
Our hotel rooms, they were very small.
I've heard that.
We went in. It
capsule
was
hotels
that's the
are also
thing.
big over
If you
there.
really want to save money, you can go to a
Yep.
capsule hotel.
Yep.
Yes, I'm claustrophobic, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
like that.
I wouldn't
What I
do
had
that.
was probably the smallest I would do. It's like you literally walk in, tiny little doorway. The bed's shoved in. Like the bed's literally can't be squeezed in anymore.
Yep.
Tiny table, tiny TV. You know, and then a little tiny bathroom. But every toilet has a bidet. Your
That's-
asshole will never be happier.
Yeah, isn't that a
Unless
big
you go to a
thing? Like
brothel.
everybody looks forward to are the Japanese toilets. Don't they talk to you and like play music
One
and
of-
stuff?
some
or,
some
like-
of them do.
Yeah.
Most of them are most of them are like just a bidet where, but
Or
like
they're,
there's
like,
some where I've gone
heated or,
in.
like, cooled
they
or so-
almost
yeah.
all of them are heated. And you go in and there was one in a bar and it opened up and it said like konnichiwa, which means like hello. I was like, oh hello.
Oh, hello.
I've never had someone so happy to receive my dump
was like-
before.
I was like, prepare to receive.
Well,
Yeah.
some people.
Well,
but
yeah, ooh. That depends what you do on your weekends.
yeah. Well, I'm a weekday type of guy.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, obviously they are. As
but
you
but
said,
anyways,
so.
it was so cool.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate butthole cleanliness, so
I
I may
guess,
appreciate that over
jeez.
there.
That's very highly sought after. That's nice.
Yeah, but that was nice. I mean, they had a lot of quality of life stuff over there. I just thought was great.
Well,
And
could you go into a little bit more detail on
No.
the bidets on that?
No.
Just
no,
a little quality of
No,
life. things.
besides my
Besides
my
bidets,
asshole,
yeah,
you want me
yeah.
to stop talking about it so much? Are we
I
gonna,
mean, I prefer not to. We're not trying to get shut down.
yeah. Well, that's too late.
Yeah, we're past
but,
that point.
But no, yeah. For example, like I think for one is going into like any restaurant or like any type of like food place, even like a burger joint. Like a lot of the places had like had like tablets for you to like order food and stuff. Like, I know we have those now, but like any place, and you don't have to like especially like not being able to speak Japanese.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier to order food. And then even if you didn't, people over there, if they knew you were American, they'd give you like an English menu and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They're very polite like that over there. And like so like I feel as though over here we don't have as many
You
accommodations.
speak English, that's it.
Yeah,
God damn
exactly. So like you don't have as many
What's
accommodations
this? Press
over
2
there.
for Espanol.
And then
Yeah.
and then another thing that's really nice is every restaurant they had baskets underneath for you to put your belongings. So if
Oh.
you had like a backpack or something,
Yeah.
you put it there and don't have to put it on the dirty floor.
Yeah.
Because they also again they're very cleanly over there.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of stuff. Public transportation, like I said, it was very quality of life, just great. You
Right.
were able to go anywhere in the city, and trains ran every 2 minutes or like every
On time.
never late, never leaving early. If they ever have any delay at all, even like 30 seconds, like a minute, or maybe probably not 30 seconds, but about a minute,
Yeah.
they'll send out a public apology. It's very strict over there, and that's the thing is, it's very great service.
Mm-hmm.
It's really shitty to work there because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
such great service and they have such high standard
Standards.
and they have such high
creates-
social
yeah.
norms.
Yep.
It's amazing for tourists, or maybe if it's like your weekend and you just have your day off.
But if
over
you're
there.
like a citizen, it's a
But
different
if you're working
story.
there,
Yeah.
it can be a lot.
Yep.
It can be a lot for sure. But yeah, I mean, there was, it's just funny, like going over there and everyone being polite and then going back to Boston. And I was like, oh, fuck yourself.
Fuck you. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yourself. And it's actually, I got interviewed by a YouTuber over there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Like a pretty decently popular. I think like 100,000 subs or something like that,
shit.
or 80,000, something like that. And she actually, it's on YouTube, and she interviews
You'll
us.
have to send me the link to that.
I will.
I'll link it.
And she's like, "What's your biggest culture shock to Japan?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're from Boston, so having everyone being nice is pretty cool."
Well, that was actually funny enough. You said that was going to be my next question. Like, what the biggest culture shock? Just like people being as friendly. I guess I don't know if that's the way you want to coin it or.
I think
it's not that people from Boston aren't friendly. It's
no,
just a different
friendly.
type. It's just a different type. Yeah,
it's more like it's more like a politeness. I think it's just everyone being very reserved and very like to themselves. Like I guess the biggest thing I noticed off the bat was when we were in. We go to Logan. Everything's it's Logan.
Yeah,
and everything's I'm used to it. It's loud, whatever, blah blah blah. But then you go into I went into the Japanese airport. And everything was like quiet. I was like, what? Like there's like tons of people in there. Why is it so quiet? And everyone's just like keeping to themselves. It's just that was like the first thing. I was like, okay, we're in a different country. And then I guess yeah, just the people, just everyone just being very introverted. I think that was just very different.
Huh.
Everyone just keeping to themselves. I thought that was very, very, very interesting. And then I think another big thing was the drinking culture again, because I forgot to mention this earlier.
Right.
They all love drinking. They all drink a lot. I actually went on a food tour, and the food tour guy was telling us about this. But he's like, but you'll never see anyone really fighting each other, getting drunk and angry, and like beating the shit out of each other, or like getting drunk and like throwing up all over the place and stuff like that. They'll get drunk and they'll be happy and they'll be having a great time and stuff. And obviously we do that here too. Yeah. I don't want to shit on Boston, so I love Boston, just for different reasons. Yep. But there is problems, and over there I think the drinking culture is a lot healthier than over here. And they even get to a point where they might drink so much that the taxis are kind of expensive when the trains stop running, and it's so safe over there. This is another thing. It's so safe over there that sometimes they'll get drunk and they'll literally just find a spot on the sidewalk and fall asleep.
Yeah, and they wake up and go about their business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've seen videos of that, which is like
it's bizarre.
In America, like that's fascinating. Like depending, I'm not gonna say like the whole United States is like this, but depending on where you we have a major homeless crisis in the United States. I don't know if like people want to admit that or not. And I mean, I think that we see. I mean, it's nothing that is not a problem in Augusta, Maine. It's a problem in Boston, Massachusetts. It's a problem everywhere, as far as I'm concerned. Like the homelessness stuff. And I mean, some of it is mental health related and just like how our culture is set up. But like that is fascinating to me that like you can't do that in the United States. Like you're gonna 9 times out of 10 if you're sleeping on the streets, like in a bigger city, you're gonna get harassed.
You're gonna get mugged.
Something's gonna happen to you.
You're gonna wake up. You're gonna be either stabbed or you're gonna have like your wallet stolen or keys
something. Yeah.
Like you can literally get drunk, fall asleep there, have your wallet and all stuff out besides you,
next to you on the ground,
and people will not touch it.
Yeah.
And there's actually I was talking to a tour guide, and he said that one time, one of the people on his tour lost their wallet.
Yeah.
And they went back and look for it, and if you don't find it, what people do is they take it, and there's like local like police stations or like lost and founds or something like that they'll take it to. So you just go to one of those, and it'll be there. Like people will literally see it and they'll go out of their way to bring
there's
it.
like an actual honor system in Japan.
There is.
That's fascinating because you know what? I feel like it used to kind of be this way here.
Probably.
And then like you were talking, like we were talking at breakfast this morning, like not like to go back to that 1940s or 50s. Not that there have always been dishonest people everywhere, but you know what I'm saying, Bob? Like it's just I don't know. I just feel like that's like taking somebody at their word. Like, hey, can you watch my bicycle for a minute? Like. I got to run inside real quick. Yeah, not a problem. And then they take off with your bike. You don't have to worry about that.
And that's...
I'm not saying that's how it goes specifically, but you know what I mean.
And bring it back to karate, that's what I want. A goal with our students is to learn this level of respect. I want to have the influence of having people be this type of person that's friendly, that will go out of their way to help their neighbor.
Good citizen.
That will be a good citizen.
Person,
that will be respectful. I think that's so important for communities. And
that's how you build good communities.
And I do. That is one thing. And I don't want to say like I'm an expert in Japan because I'm not. I was there for 11 days. I'm not.
You're more of an expert than I am.
But like I just did see some things over there that I was like, I think those are some things we can bring back. I don't think we should bring back everything.
Right.
I think that their working culture is very toxic. I think that they have a really bad mental health crisis. Their suicide rates are very high. It's very serious. It's very sad because they don't have work-life balance.
Well, and it's a very perfectionist.
It is. There's so many social
it almost
norms.
reinforces you want to be a perfectionist because society. And again, I've never been there, but just from what I've heard, researched, read, and looked at, it's almost like they want to be a perfectionist society. Like they might not say it, but a lot of the ends that they're trying to drive to is very much perfection. It's perfection,
There's part of it.
No late trains, don't get me wrong.
No, it's. I
you know
agree.
what I mean? Like they're very punctual. I guess maybe punctual is the more right word.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, and that type of perfection or that punctuality could very much it can break some people down. Some people just can't handle that. You know what I mean?
It can, and even at work, it's seen as a sign of respect when you're at work and you fall asleep at your desk, because it's seen as
I work
so hard that they have to sleep during. The boss really likes that, and it's why? In America,
this guy's a lazy piece of shit, and he didn't sleep last night, and he was up drinking and partying, and and then he just happens to sleep at work. I don't know. That's just different way of looking at it.
Yeah,
right?
but I just mean why is it a good thing that you're having your workers work so hard that they need to sleep at the desk?
Yeah,
it's you don't want that type. And that's it's just
it's just different. Right?
It is, and it's sad. And a lot of people in America, I feel as though a lot of weebs are like, I need to move to Japan. My life will be so much happier if I move to Japan. It's
it won't.
Go. I don't mind. I think it's a good idea. Maybe if you are interested in Japanese culture and you really like the culture,
go visit.
I think you can visit. Maybe get a visa, live there for a couple years.
Yep.
But don't. And maybe you will really like it.
Yeah,
but
perhaps.
it's a grass is greener type situation. Don't go over there expecting it to be like your anime, or expecting it to be like
if you're going over there and expecting it to be like an episode of fucking Cowboy Bebop or fucking one of those shows or Dragon Ball or some shit, it ain't gonna you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
It ain't gonna be like that. It's not like like the Academy and this that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like you're.
It's not like that. It's you're gonna go there. You're gonna be worked really hard. You're gonna find there's bad things too. Just like over here.
You will be drunk on a Tuesday, but
you will be drunk on a Tuesday. You will be with the salarymen and salarywomen, hanging out, drinking, balling. I mean, I love that part of the culture. Sorry to sidetrack, but sorry at all.
No,
but so when we were on our food tour, we go up. And Tim went on this food tour the year before, because he'd already been to Japan or a couple years before or whatever. And the guy's name was Aki. And he's we're waiting for him at the food tour, and he finally goes up to him. He's this kind of skinny, kind of awkward, Japanese dude. And he's like, okay, I went up to go introduce myself and meet him. He's like, hey, how are you? And Bobby's like, oh, Bobby? He's like, you with the food tour? He's like, yeah. And he's like, oh. And he's hiccuping, and I'm shaking his hair. He's like, this dude's breath reeks of fucking whiskey. This dude's bombed off his ass about taking a food tour.
Japanese whiskey is some of the best whiskey in the world, too.
Yeah, so. And he was bombed. And then he has his assistant there.
Yeah.
And he's doing his speech to get introduced to us, and he gets stuck on the same sentence for, I kid you not, I think 2 minutes. Realistically, I could say 10 minutes. Realistically, it was a minute and a half, 2 minutes, which is a long time to be stuck on the same sentence. Yeah. His assistant's like, I'm sorry. He had a sake tour before. He's very drunk.
He's loaded.
And I kid you not, he was awesome. And we had the best time of our life. It was just this drunk Japanese man taking us through this tour, bombed off his ass, teaching us about the Japanese culture and food.
Oh my God.
And drinking, and we got drunk with him and stuff. We had sake, we had sours and stuff. It was awesome. He was teaching us about so many things. So one thing is, we were walking by, and he's like, you see this place over here? It's a hotel, and it shows a picture of a guy lying down on a couch watching a DVD, and it says DVD. Oops, sorry. It says DVD on it, and I was like, yeah, it seems interesting. He's like, yeah, porno hotel. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, when men don't want to go home to their wives late night, don't want to buy a taxi or something like that after the trains. They'll sit here, that you can lie down in a room, rent a porno, watch it, jerk off, fall asleep.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
Yo, they're just
why don't we have this over here?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, no, exactly. We're missing out.
Sorry, Elizabeth. But
Sorry,
it's
Sylvie.
it was just fun. He was fucking hilarious. And then he's bombed off his ass. We're drinking sours at this place,
God.
and he's and I'm talking to him, and he's and they have a brand over there called Kirin beer. And he was telling me about beer. He's just oh yeah, I love Kirin beer. I was like, And I thought he said Korean. I was like, oh, you love Korean beer? He's like, he got like an angry face. He's like, no, Korean beer is shit. It's like, Korean beer is shit. It was just like, maybe another thing. There's some conflict between some.
I was gonna say, I'm sure some Chinese and Japanese folks are not on the same page.
Not always. I don't want to generalize, obviously, but
just
there is like
there
was like when I was talking to some Japanese people there. Not like this is another thing about their society is. Not all. There's a decent amount of them that aren't a fan of the Chinese tourists and stuff like that. There is a dark side of Japan, and that's why I'm saying it's like don't think it's a grass is greener thing. There's like any country, there's good and there's bad.
Yep. No, exactly.
And I liked the good, and I didn't like most of the bad. But it was awesome. I love that guy. I love that tour. I would anyone that goes to Japan schedule the food tour and sake tasting with Aki. It's hilarious. Hopefully he's drunk.
Yeah, hopefully he does a sake tasting beforehand.
Yeah, he was awesome. And then he was just like every time he like talk about Japan, he'd be like, yeah, and you can open carry and drink in Japan, which you can, kind of like in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then every time you do that, you have like a big pause and you just go, oh, Japan. And we'd all laugh. And in his mind, he's like thinking like, these stupid racist Americans think I'm so funny just saying Japan in a stereotypical accent.
He's like, I could be over here saying anything in like the Godzilla accent, and you guys would fucking find it funny. Yeah.
You know what's funny about the Godzilla type thing and the R's is I learned over there is because I was studying a lot of Duolingo and talking to a lot of Japanese folks over there. Like my friend Oliver that I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we never brought up again because who cares? No, just kidding. He was telling me that the Japanese language they don't really pronounce L's.
Oh, really?
So that's why they literally even spell it if they're doing the American spelling with an R. So like it's not it literally isn't Godzilla, it's like Godzilla or something like that.
Godzilla.
And then instead of it being like Alucard, like, because I'm watching an anime called Hellsing, they call it Alucard or something like that. So it's like, it sounds like you're being racist, but you're not.
Yeah, you're actually saying it as they...
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, like, that's, because for the longest time, I thought people were just being jerks.
Yeah.
Which I think they probably still were.
Right, exactly. But it's like... if you're just like the white guy going,
yeah, well, that's...
Like, that
and
type of shit.
There's actually a streamer over there that's an asshole. I forget his name. In Japan, and I keep getting sidetracked, Ryan. I hope you don't care. After this podcast, I think I'm going to have a ring around my neck. I'm going to be probably choked out. It's going to be like Homer Simpson and Bart. Ryan's getting very fed up with me. He's holding in his anger. But there's this streamer over there that's going on the trains, and he's this American guy from New York. And he's going up to people, and horrible, and he's just going, Hiroshima, Nagasaki?
Oh,
And people are like, what? Like, first off, he's being loud and disrespectful. Second, he's being extremely racist.
And three, you're talking about two of the most traumatic events in Japanese history in the last, not even just in like the last 100 years, in general. Like,
it's like
like over here you can joke about back-to-back World War champs.
You want to get your kicks? Watch Oppenheimer.
Don't go to Japan or like Germany or one of these countries and just go back-to-back World War.
No, it's messed up. So he's been getting. So Japanese people are usually, like I said, very polite, very kind.
I hope they beat his ass.
But he's been getting the shit kicked out of him. No, he has. You can find on stream. He got choked out one day. Some guy hit him in the back of the head. And
I don't condone violence, but good. Like,
it's
this guy's being a dick.
He is. It's
for no reason.
It's like, come on, you go to a different country.
Yep.
You gotta respect their culture and their rules.
Yep, exactly.
Don't go over there being a racist asshole. It's like it's pretty simple. It's like he's just doing it for clicks and views.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to be a racist asshole, come back here. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Cut that.
No. But seriously, it's like when you go to. I've done this every time I've traveled. You can't just like be a boisterous fucking DB American, douchebag American, as I like to call it. Like you've got to be reserved. You've got to respect, like, especially in fucking Japan, dude. Like, I mean, of all places, like, I've seen these videos, and I'm just like, I hope this guy gets his shit.
Yeah,
cleaned
they're
up.
very, like
That's
I said,
good.
very
That's
kind,
good.
very respectful people.
Yep.
But he's somehow pushed the buttons enough where they're beating the shit out of him. That doesn't usually happen.
Like, imagine you lost your grandparents, like, at Hiroshima or something, and you go up to him, Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Imagine if he did that to someone. Imagine if he did that and it was a guy from the Yakuza.
Oh my God, you'd get your ass.
They're still a thing over there, dude.
No, they are. That's
still
something
a thing.
People don't talk about that often. Like the organized crime, specifically the Yakuza for Japan, but like big.
Yeah,
Still
it's a big thing over there. I don't think it's really talked about too much. Like actually, there's a big influence on it on their culture because in Japan, they don't have a lot of tattoos because tattoos are generally referred to as people that are in the Yakuza.
Yeah.
When they see Americans and foreigners with tattoos, they understand.
Right, yeah.
But they actually have rules against tattoos. So like in onsens, which are the public baths, you have to you have to go in and you do like a bath. It's like either a bathhouse or like a hot soak. Of onsens, like a specific type of hot soak where it's like some type of like special minerals and stuff in the water. It's like a spring water.
Yeah.
And you have to get naked. And my favorite part. And hanging dong with a bunch of Japanese. It's amazing.
You feel huge. Yeah.
Right. Cut that. But anyways, it's but you're not allowed to have tattoos and go in onsens.
Really?
Because they have an old rule to keep out Yakuza, they ban tattoos. So even if you're a foreigner and they know you're not Yakuza, you're not allowed to go in with tattoos. So they will sometimes have like onsens and bathhouses where you're allowed to go in like with tattoos, but you generally don't want to go to those ones because those ones have Yakuza.
Yeah, I was like, those are the ones where all the criminals hang out.
I would at least assume. I don't want to say that as fact. That's just my assumption.
But yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, right. I mean, like if you can't go to the ones that they have strict rules in the tattoos, and if you go to the ones where they do allow tattoos, and hence the only people really that have tattoos are also criminal in nature. Okay.
So like that's one thing, and then that's like another thing. It's like, is that a good thing for society? Is it a bad thing? I think generally, it'd be okay now if they let in tattoos, but it's not my place to go like Japan should do this. It's
right.
Japan's place to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna.
That's their country.
It's
their culture.
I can disagree with it all I want,
of
but
course.
I'm not gonna go like they need to change this. I'm not like. So yeah.
Well, like even like tattoos in the United States are not a fully accepted thing, in a lot of ways. Like you talk to even people in our own friend group, and I can't remember how it's described, but it's like, yeah, tattoos like putting a fucking above ground pool on the side of your house or something like that.
I've never heard that.
I think Jimmy has described it like that.
Jimmy, you rat bastard. We're changing your intro. First off, I can't stand your voice. Second off, you said this shit. Go fuck yourself.
I don't know.
Jimmy.
There was one thing like he was just like, yeah, tattoos are like putting like a.
Just because of that, I think I'm gonna get a tattoo of Jimmy's face on my ass cheek. Just so every time I take a shit, it's gonna look like there's poop on his mouth.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just
All
kidding,
right.
Jimmy.
But
I love you.
But that said, it was just like it was funny, and like I said, it's funny that like again, we're not even completely like solidified on tattoos here in the United States. I guess was all I was.
Yeah, I guess not. But I thought we were pretty. I think we're pretty.
But
pretty before it's going with it.
It's becoming more accepted.
I think so.
Definitely.
I think so. Like, I mean, I think so. Like my dad has tattoos. My mom has tattoos. My dad likes tattoos. I like tattoos. I think tattoos are cool. I appreciate tattoos.
Too.
I don't think I want tattoos.
Right.
Because I think they look disgusting. No, just kidding. But don't spit out your water. You're gonna ruin your microphone.
Oh my god.
But
who let you in here?
You.
Did I do that? Jeez,
yeah, unfortunately. We already had to cut some footage.
I know.
I've been holding back plenty of jokes, Ryan. I hope you know this. I'm being a nice boy right now. We're going to have we have to do this again, but put it on like Rumble, like an uncut version.
Yeah, there's social media sites that are not.
Yeah. But anyways, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Well, no, like it's just like the tattoo.
Oh yeah,
thing.
tattoos.
Yeah,
I think that's an unfortunate thing. Like people still say, like, yeah, you're right. Like, don't have tattoos past your sleeve if you want to get like a job. Like there is employers that might still not hire you because there is some type of a stigma to tattoos. But I think it is getting better.
It's getting better here. But I just even think about even in our own friend group, like some of us with tattoos, some of us without tattoos, some that feel tattoos are a good addition, some that feel like they are a not so good addition. It's just like it's just funny. Like
point them out.
Call them out. Call them out. Yeah,
call them out.
Like, peer pressure them. But anyway,
call them out.
No, I mean it's just no. I just for the duality of that sense, it's.
I know
funny.
I'm fucking with you.
I know you are. You do that a lot.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was a good trip though. What would I guess if somebody is going to travel to Japan in the future? What's like your biggest recommendation?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, obviously yes, go. But like, what would you like if you were to do it? If you were to go again, like. What would you make sure you did?
I'm gonna
advice.
I think I pretty much did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think I planned pretty well. I think the thing I probably would have done the most is I think if you plan to go to any single place that I think I would do personally differently.
Yep.
Is like we did Kyoto in 2 days and Tokyo in like 7 or 9, whatever. So Tokyo felt like we did a great amount in. But Kyoto felt like a little rushed. I would at least, if you're going to go to different places, spend at least 3 to 4 days there. There's so much in each place.
Yeah.
You don't want to just rush through it. It's such a beautiful country, and you want to really take your time and not feel the pressure I think we rushed around a lot because we wanted to see so much. I think next time I go, I'm going to take my time. Maybe it's good for your first time because I did love it. I did like seeing it. But I had 20. I had a Fitbit. We had 20,000 steps like at minimum each day. We were walking around so much. My feet. I had to like elevate my feet every each day because we were walking around so much. So I think take your time. Make sure you have enough time in each place. Don't do it in a week. I know it's a big trip. I know it's a lot of money, but if you're gonna do it right. Spend at least 2 weeks there. You want to take your time. It's such with the jet lag and everything. But I think for anybody that wants to travel there, the biggest thing you gotta do is let's not give America a bad name.
Be respectful.
Let's be respectful. Look up the social norms. I did extended research on the social norms. You did.
I mean, like I was on the itinerary for part of the trip, and like I remember you sharing lengthy documents talking about etiquette. Like not being a dickhead when you're basically out in public, and like so you don't stand out and put a fucking flag on your back.
Exactly. You know? Like there was like even small things, and yes, like the small things they'll understand. They're not gonna hate you for it. But like they'll appreciate it, and that you took the time to look into their culture and be respectful to them. Like for example, they don't when they go to the vending machine and get food or something, they don't eat and walk on the street because they don't want litter or crumbs on the ground. So when you eat something, eat it at a table, and don't litter, don't throw your trash, which should be a given, but in America it's not a given. Everyone does it. It's disgusting. I hate it. And over there they don't have trash barrels anywhere, which is another thing because they had like some there was some like crisis where someone was like putting like gases in like the trash barrels, and I think it was I don't know the whole background, but there was some bad stuff with the trash. So they don't have trash barrels anywhere, so you actually keep your trash with you. You throw it out when you go back to your place. There's sometimes trash barrels, but it's very rare. Keep your trash with you. Be cleanly. Don't actually drink and walk with stuff because they don't want you to spill stuff. If you go to the vending machine, drink it there. Like I said, don't blow your nose in public. Be clean. Keep washing your hands whenever there's hand sanitizer before going to a restaurant. Wash your hands. They'll always give you a little cleaning wipe to wash your hands before you eat. So be very cleanly. Don't touch your face like I've been doing this whole podcast and touching things like a buffoon. Taking off your shoes before going indoors in certain places. Not everywhere. You can go in most restaurants and buildings, but look out for signs. Really, you don't want to get your dirty shoes everywhere, especially where they don't want to. Make sure to learn some words like that you can say to be respectful. Like learn some of the dialect. Like the main ones I would say are arigato gozaimasu, which is thank you very much for present tense, like something someone's doing. So if someone gives you something like arigato gozaimasu, or if someone did something for you, like let's say Aki, the drunk Japanese man, did the food tour for me, and after the food tour, I might go to him and say, "Oh, arigato gozaimashita," which means thank you for something you did, and that's being
thank
very
you
polite.
In the past tense.
And if you want something like or you're saying excuse me, you say sumimasen. That's a very important term over there. Sumimasen. I might be saying that a little wrong, but sumimasen. I'm not great at Japanese, but that's very important for telling people excuse me or maybe sorry if you bumped into them, which try to not do obviously. And if you're like in a restaurant or like at a store, you're actually people don't come up to you. You go to you call them over. It's the restaurant. I don't want to keep. I don't know how long you got.
No,
but the restaurant industry is very different over there. They don't. It's not like over here where you wait and they come over and they wait. They sit you down, and then when you want them, you call them over. You get your food. You want something else, you call them over. You just get their eyes and you say.
It's not like rude to be like not like I'm not trying to like snap at them, but like hey.
So it's basically like you don't like scream across the room, but it's like if you catch their eye contact and you might go like
you can
like
motion,
you raise your hand,
motion them over without it being
and
rude.
you say sumimasen. And that's because like some Americans are going to be confused, especially if you don't do your research. You're going to sit down at a restaurant and you're going to be waiting for an hour, and they're going to be like, "Where's my food?" Or "Why aren't they making my order?" It's because you have to call them over. And they'll go over right away, and your food will come out very quickly because they prepare everything very well. So I love the restaurant. I think that's awesome. Also, not only is tipping not necessary, don't tip. It's actually rude.
Is it included? Do they include the gratitude?
No tips. They don't do tips. They don't do tips over there. And if you tip them, it's actually awkward. They're going to see it like you're judging their work. So it's not even like I'm going to do it to be nice. It's actually going to, if you do it, it's going to be awkward. And they're going to feel like you're judging their work.
Interesting.
There's other social rules out there. I just can't think on the top of my head.
But I mean,
you don't bow to everything.
Okay.
You're not expected to bow as an American.
Yep.
You can maybe learn some bowing etiquette, but sometimes people and it's not like their fault or anything. I don't think the same as, but sometimes people think you bow to everything. It's like, no, like, like don't.
It's not out of like the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David gets the shit bow. He's like, you gave me a shit bow? Yeah, he gave you a shit bow, yeah. I
mean, there is different, like, bowing, there is different things. Like, if you bow, like, a little bit, it's, like, a little less informal. If you bow more, it's a little bit more informal. If you bow a lot, maybe it's, like, you're giving a deep apology, a deep appreciation.
Yep.
It's, like, if you don't really understand it, it's going to be kind of hard to do. So maybe just try not to do it so much.
If you're not comfortable with it and you don't understand it, don't do it.
And again, they don't expect you to.
Right,
so like don't feel like you like that's something like you don't have
feel
to
obligated.
The main things I would say is just the things like I said, like the cleanliness, like not eating while walking, like being quiet on a train. Like you can talk on a train, but don't be loud, don't talk on your phone.
Right.
You know, try not to shake anyone's hand. Like if they extend their hand out to shake your hand, maybe it's like a friend. Like for example, I met a friend of mine, Yusuke, who teaches karate over there, which we haven't even gotten into yet. I don't know if we'll have time to get into. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's okay.
But he extended his hand out to me, and we shook hands. But typically, you don't want to extend your hand out because they don't usually shake hands. They will bow and stuff like that.
Did you get to train while you were there?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
all right. Let's talk about. Definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Then. So when did you like? This is just in a very traditional style dojo. Like you mentioned, you have friends that are over there. Like I guess trying to just like lay it out for me, bud.
Sure. So I have a buddy over there, Yusuke. He teaches Shotokan karate. I mentioned it before. It's a Japanese style of karate.
Yep.
Very popular in Japan. Probably, like I said, Kyokushinkai, Shotokan, probably the two most popular styles in Japan. I met him online, emailed him. I was interested in learning Shotokan karate because I'm always interested in getting better in different ways. My dad never did Shotokan, you know, so I was like, I just want to learn something new. I want to improve my karate in some different ways. And he's, you know, so he teaches me some things, you know, and we just kind of go back and forth. And on Zoom, he teaches me, and we do classes together. And
nice.
And he's helped me out. So when I went over there, we trained together in person for 2 hours, and it was awesome.
Very cool.
He was very polite. He met my wife. I actually met his wife. Very nice. Very nice people.
Nice.
And we went to a community center. He doesn't own a dojo.
Yep.
He just kind of
rents a space.
He rents a space and stuff, and so like he rented a space in some community center, and we trained for 2 hours on like a wood floor, and it was awesome. He helped me with my fundamentals, my kicks, a lot of my hip movements. With Shotokan, it's a very technical style of karate.
Yep.
So there are a lot. I think
so. It's really emphasis on the form, right?
Yes, extremely on the form. On the hip movements are very
angles
clean,
and everything.
And you'll gain the most out of your power without wasting any energy, which I personally struggle with.
That's difficult.
And he helped me a lot. It was awesome. Elizabeth watched the whole thing, you know, and it was really cool. And I think that's another thing in martial arts is having humility is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Don't think that you're the top shit or top dog.
There's
no matter
always
who
a bigger
you are,
fish,
there's
dude.
always someone better than you. There's always someone that you can learn from.
Yep.
You know, I admit that. My father admits that. We all admit that. We're not
how
perfect
you stay
people.
humble.
We got you have to be humble. You have to have humility. You're not the best. You might be good, sure, but there's always more you can learn from. And Yusuke has definitely taught me a lot, and I really appreciate that. And it was just phenomenal going to a place like Japan and doing karate. Like
right, I mean, like
I'm like a big,
you,
and I'm a huge nerd.
I
mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love Japan.
Oh, I know.
I think it's cool. Like I've always wanted to go there ever since I was a little kid. I love karate. You know, and that was just like it was just so cool. Like, just doing something I love in a country where obviously it originated in Okinawa, but like it's
close enough.
It's like the second place where it like got really big is Japan. It was
without actually physically going to Okinawa, which you could.
That's my next big idea.
That would
I
be
just
cool.
loved it.
That'd
Man.
be cool.
It was so
I've had
cool.
friends that have been stationed there for
they have
military
bases.
purposes
Yep.
Marine Corps specifically, and also Navy, and they said nothing but great things about being down there. I mean, like I said, I have done little to no travel over, and I just if things were different circumstantially, I would have loved to join you guys on that trip because it looked like you guys had a fantastic time. I mean, especially for you being able to, and I think that'd be like for me. I don't know, like going to a foreign country and then like hooking up with like a podcast host from the other side of and doing an episode like. In Italy or something, you know what I mean. I'm just making something up, but it's like it's our doing something that I highly love in another country with somebody else who also highly respects it.
It's
but
awesome.
that like you don't get many moments like that throughout your life, like unless you travel all the time, like to be able to say like I was in this place where this started, like and like be around thousands of years of history in my field, which I so love and enjoy and I'm very passionate about. It's very special. I can tell by hearing you talk to it. Obviously, it was a very special.
It
moment in your
was
life,
so
and
cool.
I'm sure like.
I loved it.
I'm sure that's something you're gonna look back on like very fondly, and I mean you already do, but I just like in the long term of the journey of life, and I just think that's how old is your friend? Like, what's the age difference between you guys?
He's I think like 28.
Oh no shit!
And
So
then
not really not that big of a difference.
He looks younger than me.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. But we're around the same age.
That's interesting.
He's a cool guy.
Yep.
Very polite, very, very polite. He lived in America for he went to university over here in New Jersey.
No shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so his English is phenomenal.
I was gonna ask, pretty good English.
Yeah, great English, great English. Very kind man, very great teacher. He just had like really good techniques. Like whenever I struggled with something, he'd be like, okay, let's try it this way. Let's try it. And he was always trying to figure out a way for me to understand
Adapt it.
And exactly. And he's a phenomenal teacher. Yusuke. If you guys are ever in Japan, let me know. I'll hook you up. I'll get you, get a lesson with him. It was just awesome. I mean, I love that type of stuff, like karate. I gotta get it over there. Video games. There's a district in Tokyo called Akihabara, big nerd district with like anime and video games. I went to a retro game store over there.
That's cool.
I love retro games, as you may know.
I was gonna say that's another big overlap that we have, and like that. I guess I left this out when we were talking about us going to college, but I mean like that's one of the first real things we kind of connected on was like. I guess I'll call it the nerd, as I like to call the nerd shit. Video games, comic books, superheroes, Star Wars, sci-fi and fantasy. Which I mean, like it's the cool thing. Like when I go down to visit you, and like you have a pretty extensive, more extensive than me, comic book, collection, and we talk about different graphic novels and stuff like that, and like especially like anything from like Watchmen. We both have a huge appreciation for that series, and that in the anti-hero thing, but like there's so many different levels to it, and like you could spend a whole episode, and I honestly do at some point. I'd love to like have like a nerd like I guess you could call it like a round table, kind of like I did with the Christmas episode. Have like I guess like Attack of the Nerds type thing.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Because
I'm
know
down.
what?
Let's do it.
The fact of the matter being is that like, and this is something that's been so kind of cool about our society and like changes. Like the nerds used to be like the people that got beat up, and like I mean they still do to a point. Bullying still happens, but that's changed so much. Like the nerds, the video game thing, like that is all very much the mainstream now.
I know, and
isn't it funny?
It is funny, and I want to say a couple things on that.
Please do.
I think through so our parents. So there's a bunch of generations of this. Parents being kids. You liked video games. You liked comic books. You liked that stuff. You're a nerd. You got the shit kicked out of you.
Yes, you did.
You got
squirrelies.
You had glasses. Didn't even matter if you liked that shit.
You're a nerd anyway, and you still got the shit kicked out of you.
And you know what? If I saw a kid like that, I kick the shit out. No, I was just kidding. But it's like that. So then we evolved, and we got to like the '90s, where like people were playing more Nintendo games. It was a little bit more acceptable. Still
everybody wanted to be Mario.
And then like our generation still had to hide it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think like what was kind of popular with like the popular kids in our school was like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Like if you were
like deep into like
if you're like
Nintendo
or like D&D, like D&D, like that still wasn't socially acceptable. And it's like you had to kind of like I was embarrassed to like because I was like always like so like I played sports because like I was like one of the reasons was like I'm into this nerd shit. Shit, I shouldn't be into this nerd shit. I should be doing something physical.
It's part of
I'm gonna pretend I'm not a nerd, and then but then you start realizing. I started realizing it's like, wait a second, like a lot of these other people like this stuff too.
Yeah,
it's like
and they just were quiet about it.
And it became more socially acceptable. And I think that's awesome.
And you know what I think another huge side of that's changed too? Like you look at like popular media, and like I love the show Stranger Things personally. I thought that was great, but like that brought D&D and a lot of this like nerd shit back to the forefront and made it cool again.
That's right.
In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I think you could definitely tie Stranger Things, all the type of 80s like revivalist stuff. You could tie a lot of that to like the rebirth of D&D, and like it's very popular now.
It's huge now. People are more upfront about it.
Even in like my trade at my old shop that I used to work at, like me and my coworkers were talking about doing a D&D night. They did it a couple times. Like these are a bunch of electricians like sitting around playing D&D.
Yeah, even
like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you wouldn't see
what
that.
I mean? Like,
you wouldn't see that back in the '80s,
no, dude. Would have been like, oh, let's drink beers and talk about how much we hate our wives.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, that's why I like this nerdy shit. People make fun of it, but it's like so fun. Like I understand why people like sports and stuff. I think that stuff's cool.
Yeah,
but stuff never like. I love playing sports. I loved it. I have a passion for playing sports and being active. But watching sports, the only time I really, really enjoyed it was elementary, middle school. I used to watch baseball a lot with my grandfather. I loved that. But then I got out of it. I like watch baseball and tennis. But I think that was more like a bonding experience.
Right.
And then football in college with you guys, because that's just a fucking vibe.
We just had a good time.
Yeah. But like in general, I'm not like a big sports guy.
Yeah.
I have enough to get by in like a conversation. I just know just enough to like bullshit my way around
That's
a conversation.
literally me and
Tom
my
Brady?
life.
Oh yeah, I know
I
Tom
know
Brady.
Tom Brady.
Gronk? Yeah, I know Gronk. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
sure.
know some
oh, yeah,
stuff
there's
about
a new
sports
trade,
ball,
sure.
but it's like it's very much a surface level knowledge.
Exactly. So
Yep.
like it didn't interest me. So it's like, why would I want to pretend to be interested in something I'm not? Nerd stuff's cool. It's like you gotta escape this reality that's like awesome. Like you can be like for example in video games you can be like a knight, or you can be like a soldier.
You can be like a post-apocalyptic. You can be like Mad Max. You can be trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
You can play Fallout 4 for like 13 years straight.
Yeah, I mean that's a little personal, and I will not take any offense to that. But that said, though, it's like if there's a world you want to get lost in, you can. You know what I mean? Like whether you want to fight, be the stereotypical fighting dragons. Fuck, if you even want to be a goddamn cowboy, you can do that too. Hey boy. Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's a
it's not all just like the violent side of the video games or the entertaining side of the video games. It's also like a lot of like the writing, and the things that go into the storyboarding, and like the creation of the lore itself is like that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is, and some people don't understand that with video games and this nerd stuff like comic books. These are professional writers.
Yeah,
with
they're
a passion,
very talented people,
and just because they're
artists.
putting it in this media doesn't discount it. It sometimes makes it even better, especially in a video game. You're immersed in this world. It can make the storytelling sometimes even better than a movie or a book or a novel. And obviously,
because it's a different version of media to tell the story. It's a different platform.
Yeah, and it's like, and some people think it's like, especially back then, it's like you can't get a good story out of a video game. And
this ain't Atari anymore. This ain't old Doom. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's actually like a lot of like writing to it and stuff like that. Like, I mean, like some of these games, like I like using like I guess for the modern age, like your Oblivions, like Skyrim and like Fallout New Vegas, like very heavy RPG games,
very big
like,
RPGs,
but like at the same time, like kind of set, and Mass Effect 2. Can't forget the Mass Effect games, but like they set like a modern tone for like role playing games for the modern age.
Yeah,
I mean, in the largest sense of like your choices have choices within choices.
Yeah.
Like, it affects, like, even a small choice that you make can affect the whole story.
And that actually comes a lot from D&D, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, like, Knights of the Old Republic,
That's a great game.
Role-playing game. It uses even, like, a D&D style of, like, attack system.
Yep.
Like, it's actually D&D rolls. So, like, when you attack, it's like you're rolling a die.
Yep.
Like, there's actually, like, RPGs, like, gaming RPGs have a very big D&D, like, style influence.
Definitely.
Sorry, I don't mean to get so
That's
close.
okay. Yeah,
you look at my hand like, what's he
I
going to do with this thing? But like, you make me lose my train of thought, Brian.
Okay. No, but it's like the D&D aspects.
Yeah,
of
like even like Elder Scrolls Arena, like the old like computer RPGs had a big like, D&D influence. Like a lot of the stats and stuff. It's like the same stats from D&D, like Constitution, like Wisdom, Strength, Dexterity, stuff like that. That comes from that. That had a big influence on the RPG
literally,
space.
like you think about like you flash forward to like the 90s to like the early Fallout games where like you literally have the same type of stats: strength, intelligence, endurance, like straight out of D&D. Definitely heavily influenced, and it's like it's cool how much like I guess nerd popular media, for lack of a better term, has like become like I said, the popular media of the day in a lot of ways.
And it's bittersweet a little bit. Like I like it. I like it in a way. I like how it's become more socially acceptable. I like how you're not getting made fun of or beat up for liking nerd things anymore. I think that's cool. I don't think anyone should be beat up for something that they like
unless it's stupid.
Unless it's like something bad.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
But unless it hurts yourself or others.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I don't like. It's become so popular that I think there's
everything
a lot of
needs to be this.
people
that
are now like, let's say like in big Hollywood, like writers and stuff like that are jumping on the bandwagon, and
they're trying to make money off it.
And they're trying to make money off of it instead of having integrity with it. Like, I think a lot of these writers nowadays aren't necessarily fans that grew up with this shit.
No.
I think that they're people that wanted to write stories and they saw money and they're like, I'm jumping on this. Oh yeah, I'm a nerd too. It's like,
no, but you're
no,
not.
You weren't.
Though.
You're like, some of you guys are the people making fun of like
and
nerds
throwing
back
kids in trash cans
and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just like, I want like integrity with my stories. Like that's something I personally see with like a lot of the projects nowadays.
Yes.
With like some of the new stuff like under like Disney and stuff like
that.
that.
I was gonna say specifically with Disney, not to derail you by any means. Like,
no,
I look at like, I know you've read the Secret Invasion comics.
Secret Invasion, I actually read half.
Okay,
I do own it. I'm familiar with the story.
Look at the Secret Invasion. For those of you that don't know, like, Secret Invasion is this one of the best Marvel comic runs, in my opinion. Literally, they have these alien race called the Skrulls, which go back to the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Like, it goes way back to like some of the original Marvel comics.
I apologize. I thought you meant Secret Wars.
Sorry, yeah.
But I am familiar with Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Yeah, Secret Wars comes from, well, Secret. I mean, they're all interconnected. But anyway, case in point, though, is like you have this alien race, the Skrulls, that are shape-shifting aliens.
Yes.
They start impersonating Captain America. They start impersonating some of the superheroes, the Avengers, like what you've seen on the screen. And so it creates a very interesting, like, whodunit. Like you have to be, like, paranoid because, like, this person might not be this person. It's like they could have set themselves up to have this very fascinating story, and instead on Disney Plus they come out. Don't get me wrong, I love Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. He's a great actor. He does that role very well. But they just blundered it. They just dropped they dropped the football, in my opinion. Like, it was good. I didn't watch it, but it was good for what it was. But like as a standalone spy bullshit drama, like it was fine. But as something that is taking some inspiration from the comic run. That's a problem for me. And I guess that's kind of what you were kind of, I think, getting into is that, like, instead of taking, like, the integrity with these projects, instead of, like, having people who were, like, some of these directors who were fans of the comics growing up, like, kind of how, like, you or I are fans. Like, I'm not saying you need to have, like, this traditionalist, there's only one approach, like, you can't adapt things, but, like, you got to have some, like, continuity with the original storyline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the hard thing for people who are fans, like, nowadays with some of this stuff.
Well, I think the thing is a lot of people like want to adapt stories and put a lot of their own spin on it, which I think's good to make it a little bit fresher. But I think they take too many liberties, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're sticking to the source material enough to make it enjoyable for the true fans.
Yep.
Because what they're really trying to cater to is a larger audience. And a lot of the quote-unquote like normies that like this stuff, which don't get me wrong.
The mainstream audience.
If you're a mainstream audience member, that's fine.
That's
fine. I like that you like this stuff.
There are some of us that have that study this shit.
I think they undermine how much like a normie can enjoy some of this source material like writing.
Yeah.
And like you can please both fans.
Yep.
Just make a good show. You know, make the priority story writing.
Yeah, right.
And
if you write a good story, you write a good story.
I didn't I stopped watching Disney Plus shows. I stopped following Marvel. I only watch the stuff that I want to watch. I stopped watching Star Wars because I got sick of it. I don't like it anymore really that much. I used to be religious with this shit. I used to watch it all the time.
We'd watch every release. We'd watch every, and like I can understand a lot of people see me. I'm going to watch it anyway because I need to be able to synthesize it and like so I can either talk about it on here or just like talk about it in general because I like staying up to date with shit like that. But like at the same time, I've been let down a lot.
Yeah,
so I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Like Andor was very refreshing. That was very well done. But
I didn't even watch it.
It's great. I honestly, of all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, I recommend that. Like
I've heard
the first season of Mando was really good.
I liked it.
Book of Boba Fett? What the fuck was that?
Yeah,
like, that's
Book of Boba Fett
the
and
most
Kenobi.
Loved Kenobi should have been a movie. Kenobi should have been a movie.
It was supposed to be, and Boba Fett. They were both supposed to be movies. But they stopped because after Solo.
Yeah.
Because after what happened is The Last Jedi came out. People hated that. They boycotted Solo, which was like an average movie.
Solo was actually good.
Solo lost money. It was the only movie.
And so, you know what
in
Disney
Star Wars
did?
that lost
instead
money.
of saying, oh, wow, instead of like reinforcing that we need to have good writing. They just assumed that like not Solo being a story about Solo, but like Solo Star Wars stories wouldn't work. They just like they misinterpreted the data.
Yeah, they did.
Well, they just don't, or they don't care. One of the two.
And they're like, okay, no Book of Boba Fett, or no Boba Fett movie, no Kenobi movie,
Disney Plus series all the way. And now now that those aren't doing as well, like, are they just gonna? They're not going to shit can that altogether. But it makes you wonder, like, where can we go from here?
Well, it's in my opinion, and like I said, I want to make like what you like.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like what you like.
I just don't like it.
As deep
I'm done.
Fans,
like I'm even done to the point where like I don't even know if I want to watch the Ahsoka show anymore. Even though I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like I'm just. Like even with Secret Invasion, the beginning was, I don't know if you know, but the beginning sequence with the text, that was AI.
Yeah,
they got to the point where that's like
they're literally on strike because of AI shit. Like the writers and the Actors Guild are literally on strike because, and that comes out. It's like, how tone deaf are you? And then, like, I understand it was bad timing, like it wasn't supposed to sync up like that, but it's like even if it wasn't bad timing, you're still taking away human beings to do.
Yeah, it's like what the hell are you doing, man? And like going back to Boba Fett and Kenobi, it's like. You ruined two really loved characters.
Beloved characters.
Boba Fett was never fleshed out in the movies, but he was fleshed out in
books,
fan fictions.
And
EU.
Yep.
He had plenty of fleshed out character. And never in those was he like a nice guy trying to be like a upstanding crime boss.
No.
It's like, no, you butchered his character. You made him a pussy.
Yep.
And a lot of the scenes fell flat.
Yeah.
And it's just not appealing.
Or we're getting flashbacks.
And it's like, in flashbacks, it's like, why is he not ruthless? Like, you can make a compelling story out of a ruthless person. And that's something I liked about Mandalorian when it started.
Yes.
Was I liked how he was ruthless in the first episode. And I think the further you went down, even though I did enjoy the show, I think he's getting less and less like that. Which I guess that's part of the show.
It makes sense in part because he is becoming more of a father character.
I know.
But at the same time,
I crave like I want a cool bounty hunter show. That's what Boba Fett was going to be. I thought it was like, okay, we don't get that with Mando because he's doing this whole father-son thing with Grogu.
Yep.
But like with Boba Fett, like why are they doing this thing? Like, I'm going to be a nice crime boss.
Honestly, give us like a Star Wars like pirate series where we're like
Hondo.
Like literally, but like
Hondo,
even he is more ruthless in like some of the Clone Wars episodes, like which is an animated kids show at the end of the day. Like that is what the Clone Wars is. It is geared towards the youth.
Yeah.
It's not geared towards adults. It isn't in certain aspects. Like, I mean, but at the end of the day though, even that, the writing that is put into that show, I think does a better job of creating like your ruthless. And that's the thing, like I think once you start taking away like some of the realism elements out of anything, whether it be a video game or whether it be like, it's like once you start like, if you turn Mad Max into like a fucking like daycare provider or something like that, you know what I mean? It's like, no, Mad Max is supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be dark. It like, not everything has to be fucking Disney Pixar endings to shit. You know what I mean? Like you can have dark themes. Like I'm not saying like we revel in the fact that it's dark, but it's like, it gets you back to reality. Like, if you think everybody's singing Kumbaya and walking through the desert together in Mad Max, no, there's going to be raiders and people. Unfortunately, if society collapses, there's going to be rape, cheating, and stealing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying those are good things. I'm just saying that you need to have themes.
I hope not for your sake.
No, but you know what I'm saying, though? It's just like, there's going to be, like, if society collapses, you have to understand, society has collapsed. Like, it's not a good time. Like, and I think that, like, they do a really good job with that in, like, the early Mad Max films.
Yeah, like,
Mad
Max is great.
You know, just using that as a timeless example.
No, it's...
Like, they didn't try to turn Max into, like, this, like... I mean, maybe in
and the opposite can happen too. Like for example, like you know,
depending
I don't know
on
if you agree with this or not, but like Luke Skywalker was supposed to be the representation of hope.
Yes,
and he had his arc for episode 4 through 6, becoming like a farmer boy.
Yep.
To like a master Jedi.
Yep.
Who fought his father and was very close to joining the dark side, but then he decided, you know, if I go down this path, I'll become evil. I'll become the dark side. And he threw away his lightsaber. He's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not becoming the Emperor's apprentice. I'm not going to the dark side. I will not kill my father. He's my father, and there's still good in him. And he was the only person in the galaxy, single person in the galaxy that saw good in Darth Vader and caused him to redeem himself. And then you take his character and you do something completely different.
Yeah,
and you make him
that pissed me right off.
And you make him like a titty drinking, like green milk, like fucking like asshole throwing away lightsabers, and it's like, I can understand it happening in a realistic setting.
Yes,
but that's never who his character has been.
He was
the new
hope.
That's never really what fans have wanted to see.
No.
fans wanted to see Luke Skywalker. Yeah, he can still have struggles and challenges,
As any character
but he's
does.
a Jedi.
Yep.
And even Mark Hamill, he even said that he didn't agree with the direction they took the character.
No, he hated it.
He hated it, and it's like
They ruined the character.
I think that was the
he
beginning of
trying
the
to warn
end
people
for
not
Star
to see the
Wars.
film. Like,
And-
did you see him like the interviews? He
Pretty
goes,
much,
He goes,
yeah.
"You're not gonna like it. It's
Yeah,
terrible."
yeah,
like,
he's so it's like you started realizing
you had like,
think,
I guess, a
that
bastardization of Star Wars.
when George
Yeah.
Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney.
Yep.
It became more of a corporation because not a lot of people shit on George Lucas, but he made movies because he liked making movies.
Mhm.
He didn't go through the banks and get loans to the banks.
Yeah.
He did it himself.
Yep.
He made his own movies
Yep.
and took huge financial risks because he loved movies and believed in those stories. And shit
And
in the
he
prequels
wanted
all
to
you
do
want.
different shit with each movie. Like,
Yeah.
I respect, like, people hate on episode 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you had to set up the political discourse and shit for the Empire. You
Yeah.
had to set all this up. And, like, honestly, as far as the political, like, subversion and that shit, he did a great job with
I
it.
like it.
As somebody who is a politics
yeah.
major, like, who finds the politics of things fascinating, like, they did a great job with it.
Yeah, there's problems with the prequels for sure.
Yep, as there is
But at
with
the end of the
anything.
day,
You
I
can't
don't
just-
think he cared.
No.
He wanted to make movies that he wanted to watch. That was always his goal.
Yep.
Whereas Disney, I think they're trying to make movies that they
Financially
are going to
yeah.
be financially successful, and
Yep.
that's why they do stuff like, oh, let's pull Kenobi and Boba. It's not going to make money. Solo didn't make money. If it doesn't
Yeah.
make money, why?
God forbid if we just actually put out like a passion project,
no, yeah, they don't. They
right?
don't do that.
Like, or
which
like,
I think Ahsoka
or a little bit of fan
might
service,
be because
I-
Dave Filoni is like really involved with that. I do.
right?
I think he's a pretty, for the most part, pretty good. I don't agree with everything he does.
No, and you won't.
I know. I feel. I hope I'm not losing some of the people that are listening. I feel I'm talking such nerd stuff and such
No,
in depth of the
this
Star
is-
Wars stuff. But like, for example, like I personally think Ahsoka should have died when
In
she fought
Rebels?
Darth Vader in
Yep,
Rebels.
yep,
I
I
think
agree.
that would have been a perfect end to her story. I think Filoni has a Ahsoka fetish. I think that
Yeah,
I think that
definitely.
he really.
Well,
I
like,
think he just can't let
you
go of the
even
character.
saw how he changed the character in Clone Wars because it wasn't working. She was very annoying. Like, everybody hated the character of Ahsoka in the first few
They
seasons
did.
of Clone Wars.
They
And then they
did. Even Elizabeth did when I made her watch it.
redesigned the character, and you see it. I think it's around end of season 2,
Yeah, probably.
plus or minus, a couple episodes.
Sure.
You see that change of her.
Yeah.
Like, it went from a whining, like, sniveling brat of a Padawan
Mm-hmm.
to, like, okay, this person actually has continuity in the Star
And
Wars
it's a payoff,
universe.
too,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you need them to start kind of like that.
Yes.
I guess you don't necessarily need to, but I mean, I think that's the reason they did it. And
It's to show growth
It's
in
to show
character,
growth,
yeah.
and like you go like, wow, she's really immature. It's
Yeah.
like, of course she is.
Of course.
She's
a
a
child.
Padawan.
She's a child.
But then you
Like-
see her train and grow and become stronger, and then she's one of the most loved characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, by the time she actually like leaves the Jedi Order, even though it's again animated,
I love
show,
Ahsoka.
you're like, no, come back. Wait, you're like one of the good. Like,
I know.
You're one of the good Jedi. Like
That was the
I felt
saddest.
the
That
same
was
way,
honestly,
yeah.
I think that was one of the saddest moments for me ever watching was her leaving the Jedi Order.
She's like, y'all
Spoiler
are
alert.
fucked. I'm out. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
And the way
that
they
was
did that
emotional.
last season of Clone Wars, though, oh my god. I mean,
Phenomenal.
this for those of you who don't know, this show goes off the air for a couple years
Yeah,
anyway.
4 years,
4 or
5
5 years. And then they come back and they do a final season because the show ended like really abruptly.
It
and they
did.
do a final season and they did a fucking phenomenal.
It was
like
beautiful.
they could have put this into live action. It was so well done.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see like they do the invasion of Mandalore and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
With Darth Maul comes back and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I do.
It was
I
so
do,
good.
and I do like at least it keeping animation just because it makes me resonate with the
Right.
characters I grew with. Like with Ahsoka, I resonate with her more animated because that's what
Yes.
I'm used to.
Right.
Rosario Dawson, I think, does a great job as
I was
live
gonna say when
action.
she showed up in Mando season 2,
Mhm.
when we saw her for the first time, I was like, okay.
Yeah, no,
Like
I,
it's not like they did a shitty job. Like the animation and like, well, not the anime, but the CGI and like prosthetics and all the stuff they can do with some of these alien characters has come a long way.
Oh, it has, and I think she does a great job.
Yep.
It just I think I personally have a hard time because you're so used to them animated.
Right.
Have a hard time resonating and believing they're the same character in live action.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time.
it's
You
a
kinda have
difficult
to earn
duality,
it.
right?
You got to kind of earn that. So that's one difficulty I've had, but I don't think it's like
The end all
big
be all,
deal.
right?
Like for example, like I didn't like how they killed Cad Bane in live action and Boba Fett. I thought that was kind of bullshit because like I'm used to this character in CGI the whole time, and it's like why do you?
We
kill
see him
him
for the first time, and you kill him right off.
Yeah, it's like that.
Like,
was
I didn't even realize
weird.
he was still alive. Like, I mean, I did, but like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
that was yeah.
I hadn't put any thought into Cad Bane, and like, I felt like again getting kind of back to the Boba Fett thing. I felt like all that was kind of rushed.
Yep.
I feel like they just kind of like,
he was
all right,
introduced in
like,
like 2 episodes.
we need something to really kind of jazz up the ending. So we'll bring back somebody from the past that everybody who's like a dedicated fan is gonna know.
Yeah, they just fill cameos up now, and they use that as shock factor, so they get views, and then because they don't want to build original characters or stories anymore. Because when
forbid,
they do,
right?
they botch them, like Rey and Finn and Poe. It's like I don't think that they did justice.
I don't
to
think
Finn.
they did any character
Justice
development
for
on any
Finn.
of them.
I think
like,
Finn was
you're
such a great
about
character.
to have literally a force sensitive stormtrooper, and then they just literally swept it under the rug. They're like, oh, nope.
I almost wonder if it's because of the whole China thing. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but in the posters they released, the Force Awakens poster in China, Finn's small.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, Chinese people, they're at least assuming Chinese people don't like black people. They're not going to get as many sales if there's a black person in it, so we have to shrink them small. That's extremely racist.
Interesting.
So
the effect of the international markets.
Yeah, no, that's a big influence. So I don't know if that's why they did it with this character and kept him more on the side, if that was a reason.
But the writing just didn't make sense for him though. Like they did him so they did him dirty. They did him, the character, and the actor. I mean, I've seen you go watch interviews with him. They did him so fucking dirty.
Yeah, and I want to say it's a race thing. But I'm not sure.
I do too, but I don't want to say that it is that. But it's easy to say it is that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like just write better. Like give your characters the continuity they deserve.
I agree.
It's like it should be looked at as kind of like, in my opinion, when you're writing something, if you're creating a universe, and I think somebody like kind of like George R.R. Martin does a good job with this, because it's like it's his universe, it's his kids. Like he like even if he hates his characters, they're still his kids. He like wants them to develop.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think any
and
great
you're only
writer
doing
does
yourself
that.
a favor if you're a good writer developing good characters, even if they're the biggest shitheads in the entire series, having a good backstory. And I guess that's like, we say this is our nerd shit, Bobby, but I think really at the end of the day, what we're really striving for, and I think this is where video games and some of the other nerd media fills the gap, is having good storytelling and good character development.
Yes.
And I think that's something that is it's also starting to become more absent from today's AAA titles in the video game world. But in terms of back in the day though, you got some of the highest quality of storytelling. Some of the most memorable fucking characters in the last 20 years are from video games.
Yeah, it's true. And we used to have really great AAA titles, and I think we're still getting some, but a lot of them
few
are
and far between.
Of microtransactions,
cash grabs, no DLC. Like DLCs used to be a normal thing. Yeah. Like now you're lucky if you get a DLC that you don't have to pay for. It's like
they do like a lot of games that are like live service.
Yeah.
But if a game does live service correctly, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's very hard for them to do correctly. It's usually full of bullshit.
Yep.
So it's like I think the next AAA game that I think might be really good is Starfield.
Yep.
I think that would be really cool. But in general, I don't see many that are great. Yeah, I like a lot. That's why I like retro games.
Yep. I don't blame
you. That's why I like old TV shows and old animes and old when a new let's say Kenobi comes out. Wow, this is shit. I'll just watch like a 20-year-old show.
Yep.
I don't care. If you actually have a problem with this newer stuff like I do, and I don't hate all of it.
Yeah.
But if you're like me and just kind of an angry asshole, then just go back to some of the old shit. There's some great
so
old
much
anime,
of it out there. Yeah.
Great old video games, retro stuff, old comic books. Comic books nowadays are not very good.
They're not very good. Yeah.
They're just full of just kind of crap and bad writing, and they're not really getting great people in there.
Yep.
Just go to some of the old shit. There's so much out there. There's years and years and years of it.
History, right?
Yeah, and even with Star Wars, there's before Disney decanonized all of it.
The expanded universe.
The expanded universe has so much comics.
Books.
They have books. The Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. Amazing.
Some of the best Star Wars literature ever written. Yep.
Amazing. They have great graphic novels. They have great just video games and stuff like that.
Yep.
And even some shows like the 2003 Clone Wars show or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was incredible.
Amazing.
That was on Cartoon Network. Yeah, that was incredible.
It might not be canon anymore, but who cares? It's still great.
It's on Disney Plus for fuck's sakes. Like that's how good it is.
Yeah, it is. That's right. It is.
They brought it on. But
sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. And like I said, at the end of the day, all we're really looking for is just some quality of content. Because, like I said, in today's world, in terms of like what they put out, it's either a cash grab or whatever. And it's just like sometimes you got to go back to find that quality of content because the new content's not quite there. But that said, though, we have covered a lot of ground, buddy.
Sure.
And fantastic talking with you about anything from Japan to video games to rugby. And I greatly appreciate you coming up to come on the podcast and traveling the miles that you did and everything like that. So thank you, Bobby, for coming on. And just one more time, if you could remind us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. If you could remind us karate school and just like where to find you.
Bushido Martial Arts Academy, Belmont, Massachusetts, 396 Trapella Road, martialartsbelmont.com. You can find us at Bushido Martial Arts Academy, Belmont, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you're in the area, give us a call. We'll take care of you. Kind of afraid to end this podcast. So I'm going to keep talking because I'm afraid what Ryan's going to do after to me. So I'm just going to keep rolling until he cuts it off because I think he's going to strangle me.
Jesus.
But
but
give me things to say.
That said, though, no, in all seriousness, buddy, thank you for coming up, and thank you so much for your support. As much as we've joked around on this episode, I do thank you for your support. Helping me,
love it,
stay relevant and all that. Yeah. So, thank you to all of you also watching, listening, and all that type of stuff. You can find us on the on social media, the DuView podcast, everywhere you listen, or DuView 207 on Instagram. So thank you to my guest, Mr. Robert Moran, and thank you to all of you. And we will see you back here in a month in October for our October episode. So thank you, Bobby, for coming on, and thank you all of you, like I said, for tuning in. And hope everybody's summers are wrapping up nicely, and we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Peace out.